people who make Dark Souls are making a new RPG.
Mm.
I don't know what it's called actually. Oh, it's called Code Vein. That looks awesome.
Right, I think I might be live. Apparently I'm hosting. I don't want to host Sheriff. What am I hosting Sheriff? I think I've got him on auto host. That might be it.
And then we can begin us. If that's a word. Yada. What, are you just gonna chill on the MKX screen or something while we do this?
I'll just leave it on the screen.
Well, I mean, what you can do when you change it, when you put it on YouTube, is put some of the first to tens in the background, maybe, like some footage of it or something.
I
I don't
could
know.
mess about. We'll see what happens. I could mess about with it in Share Factory or something like that, or I'll just upload it as is. And see what happens. Right.
You're streaming on Caledonian Combat, right? Or are you streaming on your PSN?
It should be the Caledonian Combat was renamed, so it should be Yer with 2 underscores and then Da.
Yeah, underscore. Da. Yeah, got you.
I'm on.
The title. I'm just double checking.
I'm on.
I don't think so. Okay. It says.
Let's change the name of this bad boy
Yeah,
on
okay,
here.
it says live. Brexit Overview of MKX. It's right, yeah.
Send a wee message in the Discord, maybe.
I'll pop out the chat and do what I need to do. Pending invitations, whatever that is. I think the easiest way to do this. Alright, I'm just gonna go back on Discord as well, real quick.
And then I'll fire this out on Twitter.
Yep, and I'll do me a little retweet. So Paul, are you going to this thing in Ireland in May?
Yeah.
June?
Yeah, it's May 20th, yeah.
Yeah. I should be going. Should be.
Nice. Well, I'm going to book accommodation tomorrow, so you can get in touch if you are coming.
Mention by that FGC. I need to grab my earphones actually, because I'm gonna listen to something in the background. Relaxes me. I don't think too much about what I'm saying when I can hear stuff in the background. So.
Is it Madsen going yeah on a lip?
Yeah.
Of course.
Was it Gia or something?
Yeah.
Alright, Reagan, when you've got your headphones, let us know, and then
Yeah. Alright.
give it a few minutes, and then we'll get started.
I'm just gonna quickly retweet this and then I'm ready. So, all done. Let me double check. Sorted. Okay. I'm ready whenever you are.
Let's get the chat on here.
Man, these nimble reptile BNBs that this computer is showing us right now.
AI's got a hidden tech, man.
Is this Happy Bow?
Happy Pow with liquid ears, apparently. They asked him to do like the first to 10 last week and this week, but instead he gave me a detailed description of exactly what problems he's been having with his ear. including the fact that I have to shove a camera all the way down it and drain it. It's some of the most horrific shit I've ever heard. So just tell me you're no well, mate. Just you don't need to give me the ins and outs of your ears and exactly what's happening. But he insisted on doing that, and I thank him for it.
Right. Damn, that Ferritor just did like down 4 into EX Lotos and it hit.
As soon as we finish this, I'm going to go online and do that to somebody now.
Yeah,
Just down 4 Lotus.
4 Lotos. Yeah.
Or down 4 EX Lotus. Could be even better.
Right.
Right, well, we'll just get started. Are you good to go?
Yeah.
Aye.
On your...
Right. So, a brief introduction. This mostly will be for the benefit of YouTube, I'm guessing, although people can join us in the Twitch chat and give us a view. So, first of all, this is just a 2-part series, so there will be a podcast this evening, basically acting as an overview to MKX, so from its release just over 2 years ago to roughly about now. I think we can agree that this is the final stage of the game. This is probably as good as it could theoretically get, or as bad as it could theoretically get, depending on your opinion. And then after that we'll be doing another podcast series at some point, basically detailing on the cast, throughout the game's life, whether they've been good, bad, whether they need help, whether they don't need help, etc, etc. But that's for another day.
Yeah.
So we'll start this by doing an introduction, mainly so people can distinguish between other people's voices. This is mostly for the benefit of those who listen to myself and Paul and don't actually know who is who, or think that we sound alike. So I'll start with myself. So I'm your dad. A brief introduction, I guess. I'm 31 years old, from Scotland, from the east coast of Scotland to be specific. That's where I live at the moment. I've been playing MK since MK2, which is based in arcade forum in a leisure centre where I'm from in Scotland. And yeah, so moving on. Paul, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, for those of you that don't know me, I am CEGK Euphemism, and I'm 20. I'm from a different part of Scotland from you guys, and I play too many characters in this game, to be honest. I've played MK since, oh wow, I had Mortal Kombat 2 in the Game Boy Color. Bet that when I was pretty young, and then I think I got into the console MKs about Deception, which remains my favourite MK game to this day. And I think I played every MK game after that, except for MKVDC. Yeah, haven't played MKVDC.
Oh, you missed it there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
That is a blow up, man. You haven't played the best one.
Oh!
Well, I mean, I've barely played it. Like there was like a gaming club at secondary school I was at, and I went in having never played the game and bet everybody at it. So that was fun. But yeah, outside of that, I've not really played much of MKVDC. I played Deception, I played a bit of Deadly Alliance, but not too much. Played Armageddon, MK9 obviously, as well as Injustice and MKXL. And Injustice 1 is when I started getting into the competitive scene. But I've got a funny story with that actually. But I don't know, we can talk about it later maybe. But yeah, I've been playing ever since. And yeah, I'm here.
And Reagan, want to introduce yourself to the lovely people?
Yeah, you boys probably know me as CEXR. I am 18. I'm from Birmingham in England. I pretty much started playing MK at UMK3 when I was young in arcades actually. But I hadn't played a 2D MK up until MK9 after that. So MK9 was basically my first 2D MK, but I'd also played MK Armageddon, and that doesn't really count for much. But other than that, I'm primarily a Tekken player. Tekken was my first fighting game that I ever really got good at. It taught me my fundamentals, I guess. So I'm kind of looking forward to Tekken 7 coming out, because I might actually be able to win things at that. But yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm currently sponsored by CE, along with Paul. so you probably know us as tournament players. We just went to Hype Spotting a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago,
boy.
and I did some commentary there. You may know me from there as well. But in this, it's going to be a long one, I think this is, boys. Because we have a good 20-ish topics, at least, to get through. And most of those will include tangents upon tangents, so we're kind of going to be talking for a long time. But we'll try and kick it off and try not to go as off topic as possible. So the first thing we if you guys just look at the list, the first thing that we really want to talk about is MKX pre-release. So basically, before MKX came out, this is kind of an interesting situation to be in currently, because with Injustice 2 coming out, it's going to be good for us to compare the two and how NRS has kind of evolved their marketing. So if we just go back to MKX and the marketing that they did for it, what do you guys think in general about the way that they marketed the game?
I think the marketing before the game was, I mean, I think it was decent. They did like they did a character trailer eventually, like every month or so, and then I think there was maybe a slightly longer break before New Year, before a character reveal. Well, the character reveal was Kung Lao, and it got leaked. And I remember Scott the Scot and I got up really early one morning because we were going to go into town and try and find the magazine that had the next character reveal in it, or what we thought was the next character reveal. It turned out to be the same character anyway, that was leaked before. They were like, oh, you know, we've got this exclusive character reveal in this magazine, and we're going to have it first, and we're going to reveal it. And then it got like leaked from a Finnish magazine or something, I think it was, instead. So yeah, it ended up being a waste of time, but we went out and did it anyway. But marketing pre-release wise, I think some of the trailers were pretty decent. I think there was one or two trailers that had pretty cool music as well. I mean, I think there was some reviews like Reptile, I think his reveal trailer, people were a little bit underwhelmed at his reveal, I remember specifically, but I think a lot of the trailers were pretty good. I think people were pretty hyped for the Shaolin trailer, or the Johnny and Sonya trailer. Yeah, I think they did pretty well, marketing wise, pre-release.
Yada, what do you think about the... I don't know if you ever seen much of MK's marketing before it came out, but...
Yeah, one thing I specifically remember, marketing-wise, that really caught my attention was the trailer with Scorpion and Sub-Zero and what we now know as the Deadwoods.
Yeah.
And I thought that looked superb. It looked really clean, really polished. It gave a new... showed how they've advanced those characters in terms of design, what look they were trying to go for. It gave us the strong hint about the interactables. You could interact with your environment in an MK game. And that's what I remember. I just remember seeing that and thought, that looks really good. That looks really clean, and I'm excited to play it. And of course, I was excited to see what an MK game would look like on the new generation of console.
One thing that always stuck out in my mind when I was watching the MK, the teasers and stuff, they revealed Ferrator. I remember they did the Ferrator trailer. I remember when they were doing they were talking about the new characters that were coming in. I think this was one of the first original ones. It was towards the start of 2015.
Yeah, I think it was Devora and Ferrator revealed at the same time, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it was Devora, Ferrator and Kotal. I might be wrong there. Kotal might have come out a little bit before that. I know they were releasing them a little bit drib-drabby all over the place.
Yeah.
But I remember they did the Ferrator one, and then they revealed Outworld Marketplace as a map. We got to see Outworld Marketplace and how it looked. And the game just looked amazing. And then they did this combo with Ferrator, and then they ended it in X-Ray, and I was like, holy shit, this game looks awesome. And then from that, everything that followed it was to the same quality. As you said, your dad, that video between the like when you had Scorpion and Sub-Zero clash in the forest, and then you did like they had that Wiz Khalifa music at the background. I
Yeah.
know the song. I think they might have actually got that recorded specifically for, but I'm not sure. But anyway, and then it like Scorpion did that fatality at the end, and it was such a good like video with the two most known Mortal Kombat characters. They did a great job, and I think the entire like marketing of MK was to that standard.
Yeah.
In comparison to the way that they've done it for Injustice 2, just going off on a little bit of a side already, but the way they've done it for Injustice 2 has been really different. I think, if anything, they've kind of learnt from their mistakes. All the stuff's been really, I wouldn't say chronological because there's no real specific order, but it's come out at a steadier rate. It's been shown in more places, a more wide audience, I would say.
Well, I mean, do you think it's been more like what's the word? What's the word you use? More
Steady.
I'd say it's probably more consistent.
consistent. Well, I mean, like at least before 2017, we had like a reveal, and then there was a 4-month gap with absolutely nothing, and then they gave us more news.
I mean, towards the latter part of Injustice 2's build-up, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, once
you got to
I've
bear in
got
mind in
going,
that time
it's
there was the
been decent.
beta as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the beta came out in January. It was. I think it was announced then.
I would say maybe kind of coming from what would it be about November?
Yeah.
The kind of
Something like
the steady flow of Injustice 2 material has been quite pleasing.
I
Yeah,
think
I'd say
it was
that's
January actually when the story trailer came out.
So
could
January-
be. I
don't
mean, this is May now, so we're looking
Yeah.
at what, a good 5 months at least of steady Injustice content.
Yeah.
And by this time, I believe MKX was out by May of 2015.
Oh yeah.
So it's not. I think they've done it at a better rate than they did for MKX, because MKX tried to do a lot in about 3 months, and they ended up getting a little bit befuddled with it. I think it's just been more consistent. It's been a little bit better, a bit more better organised, and I think the way that they've sort of introduced each character, the way they've gone about the entire thing, the way they've marketed it and everything has just been, I think it's been better. MKX wasn't a badly marketed game, but the Injustice 2 marketing's been unreal. I think the footage that comes out, the trailers. I mean, that one trailer, the Bane, Scarecrow.
It's good to be bad.
It's good to be bad, yeah.
That trailer
I
got
think
me
still-
so hyped.
That might be the best thing. That or the, I'm being biased of course, the story trailer they did with the Society.
Yeah.
I think those two might be the best piece of marketing that the NRS have done yet.
I actually thought the story trailer was one of the best ones they put out, but you know, I just liked the narration, the way it was composed. I thought it was just a really strong trailer. Although it didn't show gameplay or anything, I think they did well to show what they were trying to show in that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the way they put together the characters, the interactions within the trailer, the way everything was sort of set out. It was kind of perfectly done for a story trailer. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And then the It's Good to Be Bad one had the perfect blend of, it had really good music in the background of the gameplay, really fitting for the characters. It had really nice dialogue choice from all the characters, especially Scarecrow.
Oh yeah, that line was godlike.
The composition of the Bane poses, everything was great in that trailer. So I think Injustice 2's bettered MKX, but MKX
Yeah.
wasn't a badly marketed game by any stretch of the imagination.
Fun fact, by the way, that line, "Let's explore this terror together," is actually from an intro quote with Dr. Fate.
Ah.
So if you see the Dr. Fate versus Scarecrow matchup, you're bound to encounter that quote. at least once or twice.
So,
Okay.
as a brief footnote to pre-release MKX, so I think we have to touch on Fatal 8,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which was really that's really when we got to see what, maybe not what people were capable of, but how the game actually looked. Because there's one thing watching a trailer, but seeing people play it and people actually making these characters come to life, I think, is when you really start to see what a game is made of.
Yeah.
Of course, for those who don't know or who have been living under a rock, so like NRS with ESL, arranged for 8 players. I'm not going to rhyme the 8 off the top of my head because there's some of them I can't remember, but it was a blend of NRS players. You had fighting game legends like Ryan Hart come in.
Yeah, there was Reinhardt, Perfect Legend, Ketchup, Sonic Fox. Those are like the 4. Yeah.
I'm not going
I'm
to
just looking for
the bald guy.
the
I
top
can't
8 right now.
remember. There was a bald guy who played Raiden.
Tony T was there.
Tony
Yeah.
Arts, I think that might be it.
Okay, here are the 8 combatants who were at the Fatal 8. Sonic Fox, MIT, Perfect Legend, Tyrant, Forever King, Tony T, Ryan Hart, and Ketchup.
Yeah, those are the 8.
What did you think of Fatal 8? Not as in the competition, as in, or such and such was a scrub. Like, what did you think? How did that make you feel about the game coming out? Actually seeing it being played by people who know how to play games.
I mean, like, I watched Fatal 8 after MK came out, so I was a little bit behind. I kind of did it in the wrong order. It's probably because I had no intention of being a competitor at all in MKX. Like, I just wanted to play the game. But I watched Fatal 8 when I started to compete. So because of that, it was a little difficult for me to judge what the game was going to be like based on gameplay because I hadn't seen any until I played it. But if I was gonna be honest and judge it just when I saw it, it was a really good showing of gameplay. I mean, that Perfect Legend versus Ryan Hart set, you wouldn't have imagined that these guys are playing a pre-release game, basically.
Yeah.
It was good high-level stuff for the time that it was coming out. I mean, Boljutsu Kung Jin was stupid as hell in vanilla.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say there were a few really stupid characters or variations pre-release. I mean, we saw how Aaron Black had a really fast start-up string that was +2, and then you got free poke, and had the command grabs, had the 50-50 starters. They had a lot of stuff pre-release that was pretty ridiculous as well. But you know, we saw Perfect Legend talking about Buzzsaw and how it had no mix-ups and it was rubbish, and yeah, with quite a lot of controversy even pre-release.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to vanilla MK and, you know, what it was like. But yeah, your dad, what did you think of Fatal 8 as a tournament?
Purely from a marketing point of view, I thought it was a great success. The game looked good, you know, ignoring anything like frames or characters being daft, I thought the game looked great. Some of the guys seemed to be quite happy playing it. Everything looked really cool. You know, again, just from that viewpoint of someone watching it before they've actually got their hands on it. And yeah, I would probably say it made me even more excited to play the game, but it was like, oh wow, I can't wait to get my hands on this kind of stuff and see what these other characters can do, because again, there was only, I mean, everyone used one character each if I'm not mistaken, so you only really got to see a portion of the cast. So then you're like, oh man, I can't wait to really get my hands on this and maybe do something else with this character because they haven't been seen, or wow, I saw PL do, for example, PL do this combo and that looks so cool. I maybe want to try and put my own spin on it, that kind of stuff as well, and yeah, it made me even more hyped. But I thought it was, the actual presentation behind a lot of it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there you go.
I'll be honest, like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that's probably a good analysis of the tournament because it was just basically an extended teaser trailer for a lot of people. So the more you think about it, you only get to see so much with like snippets of characters and stuff. So when you see characters like, especially characters like Kung Jin, as silly as this seems, like Kung Jin's probably one of the more unpopular new characters. That's going to sound really bad, but I think if you compare
Damn
like
homophobe.
if you compare Jin with a character like Cole or I'm trying to think, maybe even Cassie, you know, stuff like that, I'd say probably like he hasn't got as many fans, quote unquote. So
Yeah.
when he first came out, it was a big thing to see Jin because he was just new.
Yeah.
So when you see characters like Jin and stuff, even though over the game's course they, like, I think Jin's really lame, but at the time it's like, oh, this character's never been in the game before. I'm so hyped to play this character, like regardless of what they're actually like. I mean, I mained Bojutsu for the first like couple
What
of
a
months.
surprise!
Just because of what I saw, like I picked up Bojutsu because of Fatal 8.
Interesting.
So there you go. Like, it works. There's a proven formula, and I think it did the job. I think it definitely did the job. But I think that is probably the perfect segue for us to go into vanilla MKX and what it was actually like.
Although one note that I would like to make before we go into post-release, like pre-release MK, when I first saw the first gameplay trailer where Scorpion and Sub-Zero were fighting, I absolutely despised the animation. I was looking at it thinking, holy shit, these guys look so like buttery. It was so weird to look at. I just couldn't get my head around how weird the animation looked.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can't please everyone, I guess.
God.
But yeah,
Alright.
I mean, obviously there was that, I don't know if you've seen it, there was that video that came out that was talking about how bad a lot of MK's animations are. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, so I guess I'm not the only one that had criticisms about the animations, but yeah, I mean, that's how I felt pre-release. I'm fine with them now. But
Yeah.
I think we can talk about post-release MKX now.
Yeah.
Just
So,
that-
when MK first came out,
A brief
Wait, go on,
interruption,
you there?
sorry. You've to ask you if you can sort out your microphone.
Yeah, I can see your chat.
just double checking the date that MK came out. So MK came out on April the 7th of 2015.
Wait, was it April 7?
Yeah. It's kind of ironic because that's the earliest in a year that any new gen NRS game is going to be released. Obviously, Injustice 2 is coming out on the 16th of May, and MK9 was actually the 19th of April, so that was later than MKX as well. So
Nah, wait
If
a
you
minute.
look at it-
Nah, it wasn't the 7th. It couldn't have been the 7th. It was... No, it was the 14th.
oh wait, that could be the iOS version.
Yeah, that might
Yeah,
have
the
been mobile
14th of April. 14th of
Yeah.
April.
It
So
was
it's
the
still,
14th.
by technicality, earlier than MK9 and Injustice 2.
Yeah,
So, aye, vanilla MKX. So let's, when you both get your hands on the game. So again, ignoring anything like frames, etc. at the moment. First impressions when you actually put the game in your console, got the controller in your hands, went to the lab, did the story, whatever the hell you did. What did you think?
You know what's funny? Scott came over to mine actually, and for like 3 or 4 days, he basically lived with me, and we labbed as much as we could of this game, because there was a post-release MK Cup qualifier in Glasgow, 4 days after the release of the game. So we had to lab this shit. We had to do as much as we could, and he brought his monitor and his PS4 over, and I got mine out, and we just tried to lab as much as we could before the event happened, and we had some funny thoughts. Like, for example, when we played Reptile, we couldn't figure out how his combos were going to work. We thought, how's this character going to combo at all? He doesn't seem like it'll be a problem, so that's fine. But I think the main thing we noticed was the neutral, like having to get used to the running mechanic and the stamina bar and all that. It felt really weird to move in mid-screen, considering obviously the last game we were playing was Injustice. So it was weird getting used to that neutral, and for the first day or two we were like, I don't know if I can fully get this right before the event, but we did. We got it the next day. It was like, okay, we understand it a bit better now. It seems a bit more natural to do stuff like running. But it was interesting because before the game came out, I wanted to play Commando Kano because I thought, I was coming up with a game plan of, I'll do a lot of stuff, I'll throw projectiles and annoy them, and then when they get in and they try to fight me, I'll just parry everything. But what I realised was I actually like Cybernetic more than Commando. When I went to Lab Kano or Lab Cybernetic, I was like, this projectile's actually better, his normals are actually better, I think I may actually play this variation instead. And that was one of the characters I played at the event in Glasgow. I played Bujutsu, I played Cassie, and I played Cybernetic. Those are the three I remember playing there. So yeah, it was fun though. Especially when that event happened as well. There was quite a few people there, and I ended up getting 9. I think that was my first tournament actually, like for any game. So I was happy with 9. But it sucked because the guy that eliminated me was basically just an Aaron Black doing forward 1-3 sand all the time. So I felt kind of crap about that, but it was like, what happens. I hadn't labbed Aaron Black yet, so I had no idea what he was about or what strings were like. So yeah, it was a fun event, and when we got to play it in lab for a few days, it was an experience anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when MK first came out, so I bought it on the 14th, obviously. Never not gonna buy an MK, NRS game on the day it comes out, but I played Mystic Ermac, and that character was bloody awful, looking back at it actually. So I was playing Mystic Ermac for a little while, and the game was great. I thought the game was amazing. I thought the game could do no wrong because I was really casual at this point. Like I was doing like 23% combos with Mystic and thinking that I was like godlike, because I would beat everyone with the same like jank with Mystic. But at the time it was great, right? Because I didn't really care. So that's what I did, and then I picked up Bojutsu after I saw Fatal 8 after the game came out. But in terms of what I thought Vanilla MKX was like, it's probably a bad topic for me to discuss, because at the time MK came out, I wasn't really a 2D fighting game player. So basically I'm trying to say I was hard trash. So it's difficult for me to say, because looking back at it, I think MKX Vanilla was ridiculous, man. You had characters like Vanilla Raiden, Vanilla Eren, all this sort of stuff, Vanilla Bojutsu, stuff like that, right? Who just didn't play the same game as everyone else. Just didn't.
Give me 2 seconds, guys.
What? At the time, I thought it was great. I thought it was brilliant. So, I don't know about you, Yuda, but that's what I thought.
Whenever I get a new fighting game, I try and separate two things. How do I feel about the game as a game, and how do I feel about the game as in how I think I'm going to try and compete, or how I think it looks frame-wise. So, I mean, first impressions as a game, I was really happy. It looked great. The graphics were a great improvement. It felt a lot faster than Injustice. The run mechanic was a bit of a nuisance because, okay, what the hell is this and what am I meant to do with this? I had the problem of having a major character crisis because I'd played Baraka for so many years, pretty much since MK2. As often as possible, or in any game as possible, I played Baraka, and of course there wasn't a playable character in this game. So it took me about a week to really kind of settle on a character, which turned out to be Reptile, which I wasn't very happy with because no one at the time was really kind of drawn to me, and I think I just went, well, you know what, I'm sure I found Reptile cool in MK2, I'll just play Reptile. Why not? And it seemed okay, and again, from the game side of it as well, the story mode was okay, it wasn't anything special. I'm not going to really go on about that. Online play, again, at the time, wasn't really bothered about it, it was okay. But then there's that other side of me that kind of switched on and came, right, what can these characters really do? And then that's when I realised this game is fucking broken. This is an absolute... Whoa, what the fuck is this thing? We can list all the examples. I'm not going to list them all. I'm sure somebody in the chat will do it, like Kang and Quan Chi. But I was like, what in the hell is this? And this is mental. And yeah, you know, I look at it now and go, you know what, it is what it is. But it was intense. It was very, very intense.
It's one of those where, like, at the time you thought, damn, this is great from just like a playing standpoint, but then you look back at it and think, shit, this game was busted.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I can really talk about for Vanilla MK, because I didn't like get as involved with it as I am now. I mean, as far as tournament play goes for Vanilla MKX, it was kind of just Sonic Fox doing his usual stuff with broken Eren. At that point, Eren was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
it was even worse. But yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it now and I just go, do you know what? It was a new game coming out. It is what it is. It was pretty horrible stuff.
Infinites as well. Like, for example, Katana, they had to nerf jump attacks, like all jump attacks. They nerfed the ability to do them like actually instantly because Katana had infinites and Mournful.
Yeah, the Kang's down 3. Oh my god, it was crazy. Imposter Shinnok and Jack's probably the only time in the game where there might have been a legit 9-1 matchup. Where
I don't know, but only time.
Yeah, Imposter used to steal. For anyone that doesn't know, Imposter used to steal the ground pound. So Shinnok basically got a touch and went into the mimicry. It was mimicry, ground pound, 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 X-ray, dead. Game over. It was absolutely crazy. But that, I mean, it was hit fairly quickly, which is okay. You know, stuff. I mean, we can talk about Vanilla Quan, etc. But when you've got things like that, Imposter and Jack's matchup, that was just brainless. That was just absolutely scandalous. I mean, not even overpowered. It was just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? It was, but it is what it is. That's what I say. Cassie as well. Was it Cassie used to be able to special cancel forward 3-3? Or forward, was it forward 3-3?
Yeah. 4-3-4, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah, she used to get like fucking damage off of that.
Jesus, man. And you're like, bloody, wait, what the fuck is that? But again, it got hit, so I think it's better looking back at it now and saying, do you know what, the game was retarded, but it was fun as well. I mean,
yeah. I mean, like, we can talk about characters when we do the character thing.
Yeah.
It's probably better to leave it that way, otherwise we'll be going on for absolutely bloody ever at every section of the game's life about the characters that were in it. But let's just say Vanilla MK was messed up.
Oh yeah.
The characters in it were pretty stupid.
Yeah.
If not borderline, like, fully retarded.
Yeah.
But that's not really the point of the discussion. Was, did we enjoy Vanilla MKX? And the answer was, God, yes. I loved Vanilla MKX.
Yeah.
I thought Vanilla MKX, when Vanilla MKX came out, like, I couldn't stop playing it. MKX has ruined my life, okay? But, like, Vanilla MKX, like, I knew that this game was, like, so fun, and I just couldn't stop playing it. It was great. That's what I thought about Vanilla MKX. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree, but...
Yeah, as a game, great fun. From the perspective of a competitor, of really kind of breaking the game down, the game was stupid, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
You know, it was...
So, the next thing that we're going to talk about, it's going to be a weird topic to talk about at this point in the general consensus of things, but the next thing we're going to talk about is ESL as a whole. The reason I wanted to do this at this point is because ESL Season 1 wasn't like the biggest thing, but it was a really nice thing to have that involved a lot of people that maybe wouldn't get involved with like tournaments and stuff. And there's 3 different sections where I could talk about it. I want to get it out of the way, personally. So ESL Season 1 I don't want to address an elephant in the room when I talk about ESL Season 1, but
Yes, Season 1.
the connection was definitely an issue. I don't want to like fully say that it ruined the whole thing, but it was a massive reason. It put a huge dampener on it because it was just not acceptable to play tournaments for such huge amounts of money in that kind of connection with some people. And no tackle. I'm not going to fire any shots at Mitsu because the guy can only play what's put in front of him, and there was no regulation to say that he couldn't play. There was no regulation to say that anyone with a bad connection couldn't play. I'd say the game just wasn't ready for the game just wasn't ready for an online tournament like that. Like Season 3 was fine, but it's not Mitsu's fault, it's not anyone else's fault. The game just couldn't handle it, in my opinion anyway.
In terms of ESL, so in terms of the connection, I'll save my opinion on that. I think there's a later topic where we address the netcode. In terms of the positive impact of ESL, I think overall, I think anyone who says that ESL wasn't good for this game is an idiot. To be quite, to be quite frank, overall, it got people playing, whether it's online or offline. It got people going offline. Let's be serious here. Some people did eventually go offline. You know, Hayate being an example. He was a PC
I don't know
player.
if Hayate was because of ESL. He just
yeah, but he went from an online player.
Yeah,
well, he went from an online player to being offline, and I think ESL was a big thing that encouraged people. Where, you know, if they go online and compete, then why not go offline and compete? It got people. You know what I mean? It got people playing the game.
What do you mean Hayate was an online player?
He was an online PC player.
Was he? I didn't know. The first time I'd even heard of him was offline. So.
No, Hayate didn't even have a PS4. He was an online PC player. He would only play online, and then he started attending. I think eventually he was kind of convinced to go to things like the Canada Cup, and he started doing well. And then he started heading offline. He got the PS4 and did the ESL thing. I think people like Dragon, who were completely new to the competitive fighting scene, they kind of cut their teeth online. You know, did really well and like your ESLs and some online tournaments, and then went offline and did even better. Not just do well. It got the game's name out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, all over Twitch there was a lot of hype for a lot of players. So Zarakamaka and EU, I know he didn't really do well at the Pro League final, but it got people talking about the game. So the money was crazy. But
ESL was great. ESL is amazing. ESL as a concept is perfect because it moves fighting games towards that kind of esportsy level.
Yeah.
But was the game prepared for ESL? ESL was definitely prepared for the game. Was the game prepared for ESL? No. The netcode just simply wasn't good enough at that point.
No.
And it's a shame really because it's a massive elephant in the room. It's a massive like overshadowing. I don't think there's anything like wrong with playing. Like, not everyone has got the best connection in the world, right? Not everyone has got the best connection in the world, but if you're going to play an online tournament, right? If you're going to play an online tournament, this is going to sound really bad. But if you're going to play an online tournament, the people who run the tournament should make some sort of regulation. Like, it's difficult to say, but I think that you need to have some sort of regulation against stuff like that. It was impossible for Season 1 of MKX because the netcode was absolute crap, and to be honest with you, most average to okay connections seemed crap in the netcode.
Yeah, I mean, the way I kind of look at it is, you know, until the netcode thing, that issue was purely with the game. I think what ESL did for the game was undeniable, but yeah, you're absolutely right. For Season 1 especially, the game was nowhere near in the shape for what ESL maybe wanted to do, or did do rather, not even wanted to do. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
I mean, season 1 was just. It was really good because it put ESL out there. Like, I'd never heard of ESL before ESL season 1. And when season 1 was finished and it was all done and dusted, people really wanted season 2. So season 2 had even more hype, and season 2, in my opinion, was. I don't know if this is actually accurate, but it seems like season 2 was the biggest growth of players. That might not be accurate because season 3 was PS4 as well, but given the fact that season 2 was Xbox only, the amount of players that went and played in it were great. It was amazing. The season 2 finals was really hype. The game was at a really good point. Well, it was at a decent point in season 2 finals, maybe save for a couple of characters, like Alien. But other than that, the game was at a better position. I think, was the new netcode out in season 2?
Season 2? I don't think so. Wait a see. ESL season 2
it would have
finals.
been the start of 2016 with the new netcode, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, the new netcode came out about March 2016. It was towards like a year of MK.
Well, I think the ESL Pro League season 2 finals was January.
Season 2
2016.
didn't have Alien, didn't it? Did it? Season 3 had Alien.
Season
Sonic
3.
won season 2 against
Sonic won
what was
season
it?
2 with
Sky,
Aaron
yeah,
Black.
yeah.
Yeah, he won the final with Aaron Black, but he played Tanya for pretty much the whole tournament.
Yeah, I mean, season 2, Tanya was normalised by then, right?
Oh god. Let me see. Season 2 was January. Season 2 finals was January 2016. Yeah.
Yep.
So Tanya was
Right.
normalised by August of 2015.
August 2015. 31st of August. Tanya. Let me see.
Well, all the Lao changes had already happened, right?
I think so. No, the August. Let me see. No, August patch wasn't the one where she got super nerfed.
So
that
Tanya was
June.
still running around doing it.
Yeah, I think it might have been. Maybe it was about September or October or after that. Because September patch, she got. No, it was. Oh yeah, remember the bug that Pyromancer had where her throw did 32%?
Yep.
Yeah, season 2 was right after KOT. You're right, Cabal. So Tanya was still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
she's
that
still
point.
pretty decent.
So
Yeah, Tanya was nerfed in the March 2016 patch, so that was after season 2 finals.
yeah. So season 2 was much better than season 1.
Yeah,
I think we can talk from both a gameplay and literal perspective. The game was getting better. The netcode still wasn't good. It was still bad, but
yeah.
I think less people got lucky with that sort of stuff. Like the players were at the level where they could kind of combat against it. Like you wouldn't get free wins with a bad connection, basically. And it made season 2 finals much more competitive. I think it was decent actually. I really enjoyed it, but
This is the season 2 finals.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember back to that actually. Because I've got season 3 in my head, I can picture season 3, I'm just trying to think about season 2. Yeah, because it was like best of 7 grand finals, wasn't it?
Yeah. Season
Yeah.
2 was the one where Storm made top 8. Made top 4, I think that's it.
Right, yeah.
He beat.
Oh yeah, because Rakamaka wasn't used to the monitors, he'd been practicing in something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he couldn't get his timings right when he went up on stage. That kind of sucked for him.
Yep. Aye, that was the Rakamaka. Storm made top 4. Sakron made top 8 as well, I think. Actually.
Oh yeah. True.
If someone can correct me on that, I think Sakron actually
Yeah.
did make top 8.
No, he did. Yeah. Yeah.
But I get
He
to
beat
sum that whole
Foxy.
topic up. Actually, would be. I mean, a yes or no? Would we say that ESL was a good thing for the NRS scene or the MK scene?
ESL.
Yes. Ignoring any online, offline, just as a whole, Would you say it brought something good to the game or to the community?
It was. I'm probably gonna sound like an idiot, and I'm gonna side with Shura, but I think ESL was one of, if not the best thing to happen during MK's life.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something Injustice didn't have. We did get to see a lot more of some players that we wouldn't have got to see otherwise. But of course, there's the whole thing about how the netcode was, and I mean, ESL overall probably has helped the scene in that, it gave a lot more exposure, like the stuff like Chasing the Cup as well, got it onto primetime TV, so
yep,
that's good.
I think it was probably the best thing to happen for a couple of reasons. The first reason is because it brought NA and EU together. You have to bear in mind that for a majority of this game, not just the last two, including Injustice and MK9, there was a massive stigma between NA and EU. EU players can't cut it in NA, blah blah blah. And then you saw essentially the 8 best from Europe take on the 8 best from America. Yeah, Americans generally did better. I think it did a good job of like quashing that stigma that EU players are bad, free, whatever you want to say. Like, watching Storm go so far in Season 2 was godlike.
Yeah.
It was absolutely godlike. Like, at one point, the entirety of the continent was resting on Storm's shoulders.
Yeah. So,
that's what I loved about ESL. That's why I think ESL was amazing. Like, you didn't get that at tournaments, and it doesn't really matter to me. Like, the way that I see tournaments will never change. There's nothing like a tournament. There's nothing like an offline tournament. And I think tournaments in general are the best things that go on in the FGC, because that's what makes it, right? But stuff like ESL, stuff like Combat Cup, stuff like E-League, if you want to go as far as like branching out to that sort of stuff like that brings it to a bigger audience. God, E-League was on telly.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's just crazy. And the money that's behind it, the money that was behind ESL was like, how much? God knows. It was ridiculous, right? So you can sit there in your house, and if you're like, I don't know, if you're Foxy level, I don't know, this is going to be a really bad comparison, but if you think you're as good as Foxy, you can sit in your house and play for God knows how much money a week, and then how much money if you actually turn out to prove yourself right.
Yeah.
That's why ESL was great, because it gave people an opportunity.
Yeah, I think you're right, and the idea is good. The execution of it just wasn't held by the netcode, for example. I don't think ESL did anything wrong. They hosted tournaments and got the community together and allowed people to have the opportunity to, like you say, play for money and show off that they can be good players as well. It's just, if we'd got that netcode earlier, we might have got the most kind of optimal opportunities and seen the best, the like true best potential of what people could do.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And then the last season of ESL is season 3 now.
Yeah.
This is the season where we probably have the best gauge of like what ESL would be like if it ran smoothly. The right players, quote unquote, qualified for the time. Because in my opinion, the right players qualified for season 3.
Well, funnily enough,
at least
you mentioned that. A while ago, I actually spoke to Foxy. I think it was in a Street Fighter stream. I was just hanging about in a Street Fighter stream, and might have been I'm Still the Daddy actually. And I was talking to him about Injustice 2, and I asked him about, about ESL, about how you think MKX has went. And he said, funnily enough, the final 16 bracket offline for season 3, he thinks is by far and away the single hardest bracket that has ever been assembled for this game. Bar none.
Wait, what was there?
ESL season 3 final.
Okay, interesting.
And and I kind of, because I'd said to him, how do you think other people would have done, and And he was of the view, you know, other people who normally might have been quite good when I went there and just absolutely got mauled, he said, because the bracket was just stacked from top to bottom. There's so much good talent from around the globe, and you know, so many different people, and that,
I mean,
that
you
was
look at season 3, right? You look at season 3. Foxy's first match was Hey George, if you guys remember. That guy is fucking godlike.
Yeah.
And he was so unfortunate to get last seed just because of like the region that he came from.
He was
That was
South American,
sick as shit. And it was 3-2 last round, if you guys remember, right?
Yep. That's right.
3-2 last round. And that was first game.
But you know, I mean, I think to kind of sum up in mind, I think again, you know, at the start the game wasn't ready for it, but I think ESL's contribution overall has been really positive. I think
you're biased.
well,
I'm kidding.
I can afford to be. And I think the stuff that they've announced for Injustice so far, I won't go too much into it, but you know, the GameStop stuff and you know the King of the House stuff with the 4 guys for Injustice 2 looks really promising. We'll see what happens with EU. I don't know yet. It might be the same as America, where different people from different regions travel offline and do their own thing. I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. You know.
Yeah.
Watch
Apparently
this.
some of the regions are going to be ridiculous for like, the people that will be there.
Yeah.
Like the qualifier that's I don't know, somewhere on the East Coast, I think, is going to have like Sonic Fox, Silver Eye, like Dragon. It's going to have some ridiculous stuff.
But if we move on, I'm going to merge 2 topics into one, if that's alright. So, Combat Pack 1.
Okay.
Thoughts? The characters that came out. So, for people who aren't aware, we got Predator, Tremor, Jason, and Tanya.
Okay, let's do it in chronological order then. So the first person to come out was Jason, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jason, Tanya,
Predator, then Tremor, I think it was.
Predator, Tremor, yeah. So, Tanya, Jason's release date, if I just double check this, is May the 5th of 2015.
Okay.
So Jason came out on May the 5th. Tanya came out between then and August. I'm just going to double check. So
Tanya was out June 2nd, I believe.
Yeah, Tanya was out June the 2nd. So
yeah,
you had 2 characters within a month.
Yeah.
And then I think you had a little bit of a hiatus between Preddy, because I remember him coming out just before Versus Fighting, and that was August. It was July the 7th.
Alright,
so
again,
a day after my birthday. Great. And then Tremor came out just after Versus Fighting, I think.
Yeah, Tremor was July 21st.
No, it can't have been. No way. Tremor wasn't out for Versus Fighting, I don't think.
It says this DLC will be on 3 wait a second.
What?
Tremor release date.
So if we look at the 4 characters, right? So again,
July 21st. Yeah, July 21st apparently was when Tremor was released.
Okay.
So that was only a few weeks after Predator, was it not?
Predator was coming out just shortly after ESL Season 1 finals.
Yeah, well,
because they did the big display with Wonder Shift.
Yeah, well, if what I'm seeing is right, then July 7th, if you had the combat pack, you got Predator, and then otherwise is it in July 14th. So Tremor was like the week after that. Huh.
Right, so
that's pretty quick.
So ignoring things like frames, etc. at the side.
Yeah.
The 4 characters that came out, what did you think? How did they look? What did you think of how they look? What did you think about their inclusion into it? What was your thoughts?
I think none of them being Fujin is blow up. I think that Well, more honestly though, Jason, when he was first released, I think a lot of people thought that he was underwhelming. Like, people didn't see him as a particularly strong character when he was first released, and they thought he was a bit too dependent on forward 4-2, and slasher at least. I don't remember much buzz about Relentless and Unstoppable, but I do remember Relentless having different damage scaling per like notch of health like they had left. I remember that got nerfed, I think it was, other than when you had 1%. So Jason was pretty interesting when he came out, but obviously we've seen him get a lot of buffs and become one of the strongest characters in the game now. What about the other one? So was Tanya after that? Tanya was after that.
Do it whatever order you like, whatever order
yeah,
you like.
well, yeah, Jason was alright. He was interesting. I think he had maybe unexplored potential, but then ended up being buffed to the point where it was pretty obvious what his potential was. But Tanya, when she came out, I remember messing about with her at our local, like with a bunch of other guys, and she was also an interesting character. Like Pyromancer, I think it might have been a bit underwhelming as well. Dragon Naginata seemed interesting, but I don't think enough people picked her up to really kind of explore what she was like, because everybody was jumping Kobo Jutsu, since it had a super fast safe mid. It just had a ridiculous toolset at that point, and obviously we saw that when CEO came and top 8 was full of Tanyas, but inevitably she didn't actually win CEO, so that was fun. Predator, when he came out, obviously we had Hunter, I think was the most popular one, but also for Hishka 10 came out into zone. King ended up winning a major with Hishka 10. But obviously we had Sonic Fox coming up with that 50% or something, I think it was, for Hunter, that everybody was basically copying. And then Warrior just kind of sat in the back burner. Nobody really played it. I can understand why it wasn't that great originally, but I think now it's much better. I think it's not actually the worst variation anymore, apparently. But then we had Tremor, who obviously a lot of people had campaigned for. I was indifferent to the character, to be honest. I didn't really think like much of him. But when he first came out, and I started labbing him, like I was adamant that Up Rock was going to be like a defining special move for that character. Like Up Rock was really good as a special when he first came out. And when I was labbing him, Scott was beside me, and I said to him, like, Up Rock is going to be like a really good move, trust me. It's going to be like a move that's used a lot with this character. But then eventually it got nerfed. So yeah, Up Rock doesn't get seen as much, at least without meter. But Aftershock was my favourite to play. I liked the whole instant air quake kind of stuff. I liked the kind of neutral control he had. Like even at full screen, you could do stuff like instant air quake. Crystalline, I guess I just didn't take to as much. And Metallic was an interesting concept, but it didn't end up being as great in implementation. I think now it's this is a fun variation to play for me. Like doing the rolling disc loops are just hilarious. A lot of good unbreakable damage as well. But yeah, at least that's what I thought the Combat Pack 1. What about you? What about you guys?
I'll briefly kind of touch on it. Jason made sense because MK9 had the horror character, and I thought after MKX having a horror character as well at the time made sense, and Jason was really a horror icon, and it looked kind of design wise was underwhelming, but the actual character himself does seem pretty underwhelming. It's just a big guy with his normal clothes on, a hockey mask. But it sort of looked cool, I guess, but I wasn't too excited about it. Tanya, design wise, wasn't really overwhelmed. Didn't really like the character in MK4. Still don't really like her now. So, but she was in the story, I guess, so it was somewhat relevant. It was cool to have her back as well. It was a bit catching at left field. I don't think a lot of people maybe would have expected Tanya, or maybe did expect her because she was in the story, but it was good that they brought someone back, so no one was really closed off the book, so to speak. Predator, I think, is one of the best characters NRS have ever designed. Looks wise, moveset wise, especially Hunter. I think he looks so cool. He plays exactly like Predator should play, in my opinion. He's just a rapid, aggressive monster. And I just think he looks awesome. He looks absolutely awesome. Tremor, I think, is, again, has to be one of the pride and joys of MKX. Design wise, they took a character that was, I think, what was it, in MK Mythology Special Forces, and he was in there as the sort of brown ninja, and he looked, in this game, he looks unbelievable. The voice, the design, apart from the rocky beard, he's got an aftershock that looks pretty crap, but the big presence, his moveset, with the rolling cutter, the punch. Even his strings look cool. The forward 1-2-1, as annoying as it is to deal with, looks pretty awesome. I just think he looks like a great character. So Combat Pack 1 for me was probably maybe a 50-50. No pun intended, but where the two characters that I thought looked really good and looked really fresh and exciting, and two characters I wasn't really asked about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I kind of understand that, except for me it was 3 characters I really wasn't asked about and 1 character that I was. I really didn't click with Jason, Tanya or Predator. Tanya because I just generally don't like females in fighting games. That's, I don't know, it's just me. Jason because I didn't really like the way that he went about his game plan, really. I don't think he was very good upon release. He's great now, but he wasn't very good when he was released. Predator was ridiculously good, but I don't know, I'm not a zoner at heart, I guess, so I never really agreed with Hishkiten, and I don't really play too much set play, so I never really sat down with Hunter and labbed it or looked at it, so I never really played Predator. But then when Tremor came out, I was like, damn, this character looks sick as fuck. And then I started to I played Aftershock for a little while, and then when Tremor kind of got buried for a little bit, I stopped playing him. But I did really like Tremor. I think in general Combat Pack 1 is great. All the characters are designed originally enough, they fit the game, their styles are great individually. As a cluster they're really good. There's not really much else you can say about it. They're all just really good characters. I think especially Predator, the way that he's translated is great. But the best character in that is definitely Tremor for me. He's an amazing character, amazing design. He looks so fucking good. But yeah, that's pretty much KP1. What do you guys think about the effect that having 4 new characters in the space of, say, like 4 months? What effect do you think that had on the game? Because if I remember correctly, for Evo 2015, Predator was out, but he was banned.
Yes. I'm sure it was. Jason was definitely there.
And Tanya was definitely there. So for Evo 2015, you had already 2 characters from KP1, and Tanya was pretty dominant across Evo 2015. There was a lot of Tanya because she was really good. Kobajutsu was ridiculous. But in general, the 4 characters, what impact do you think these 4 characters had on the game?
Well, to answer your question earlier about characters being released so quickly, I think they were released too quickly. I think that a character needs like at least a few months to allow competitive players to really explore the character and his matchups and how he does against the rest of the cast. I don't think, like for example, Tremor and Predator being released within like a week or two of each other. That's way too quick. That's way too quick. Either release characters together or release them in like a good amount of time between each other, because otherwise they're just not going to get the exploration that they require in time. So I'm hoping that they release the DLC characters from Justice 2 a bit better, but it's from what I've seen. Apparently, they said they're releasing 9 DLC characters over the course of the year, which could mean 2 every 3 months or something like that, or 3 every 2 months. I can't remember, but I don't think it should be that quick. I think that if you're gonna have 9 DLC characters, that can last you like a good 2 years probably. I hope they space them out better. I hope they give the community more time to have the character, learn what they can do, learn what the others can do against them. Yeah, I think they should better space it out. But what effect do I think they have in the game? Combat Pack 1 probably had a much better impact than Combat Pack 2 did. But on initial release, Tanya had a pretty bad effect in the game. On Tremor's release, I think him having, like, he didn't have the strongest set of tools, but he had a really good set of tools, and I think that was good. Like, Tremor was a well-designed character, and it gave a lot of room for setups, a lot of ways to explore, mixing up your offense, and there was a setup that DR found with Aftershock where if you put down Aftershocks down 1, EX down 1, and then through the opponent, it would break you out of the throw with a certain hit reaction and allow you to combo off of it. So stuff like that, Tremor really gave you a lot of room to lab, and being someone that likes to lab a lot, I really appreciated the design of Tremor. Predator as well. Predator was pretty cool, and some of his juggles are cool, and I appreciate the things that people have been able to do, at least with Hunter and History 10. Warrior I think's a little underexplored. I think people are still to see what Warrior can do. I don't think he's like better than History 10, but I think he could be better than Hunter. So, I think Predator's also a decent effect in the game. Jason as well is kind of controversial because of how powerful he became and the tools that ended up having by the end of the game. But I think Jason's fine. I think Jason's fine too.
Overall impact, I think in terms of releasing them, as you kind of touched upon, release them all immediately, and that should be the end of it. Okay. The 4 characters should have come out straight off the bat. As you say, where if you've got a position where you've got a character, 2 characters coming out a week apart, I don't see the sense in that at all. And with the way they did it with Combat Pack 2, where they had the 4 of them come out at once, I mean, not everyone might agree with the timing, or everyone might agree with the timing, but I think the fact that you had it all then and there waiting for you, rather than going, right, okay, this has come out, oh, but hold on a minute, someone else is going to come out next week, what the hell's going on here? I like it. Yeah, I think if they had all 4 Combat Pack 1 characters come out together, it maybe would have been a bit smoother, or a bit better, but that's just my opinion. But I hope that's something they'll learn on in Injustice 2. I think I would be surprised if they deviated from the the Combat Pack system, if you will, where you'll have 2 groups, maybe 2 groups of 4 or however many they're going to do, and release them all in 2 different packs and have a certain amount of characters available at one given time, rather than saying, oh, this one's going to come out this week and this one will come out in 2 weeks. I think that's just silly, especially for people who are attending tournaments, and there's a bit of chat about whether characters should be banned, and the fact of the matter is not every TO is going to ban characters, so it puts a lot of pressure on people to pick it up, whereas if the 4 come out at once, you at least sort of know what you're up against to a certain degree. You've got all the information there, rather than worrying about what could come next week or the week after. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's not really much else I can say about that. I think that's pretty much KP1 over and done with. So yeah. I think we're going to take this opportunity, because it's the next topic on the list. We'll do EVO 2015 as its own entity. and then we'll do tournament play in 2015 after that. Okay. So, Evo 2015 was the first time. This is going to sound really headcanon-y and really opinionated, but in my opinion, it's the first time we really got to see MKX at the we got to see the top 8 was amazing.
Yeah, we had a good oh, hello, Punkster.
I've I've added in a 4th one, so another break, so we've got Punkster in.
Alright.
Yes.
How's it going, everyone?
Alright.
Good. We're just talking about Evo.
Evo 2015.
2015.
Yeah, I think it was a good top 8. We had Foxy and Ketchup in there, so good representation of me, you as well. So
I mean, this will be an interesting one. If I just, this is going to be a quick revisit. If I just pull up the Evo 2015 MKX bracket,
the top 8,
at least for top 8, yeah. Not
I can tell you just now. DJT, MIT, Sonic Box, Boxy, Milky Situation, Zyfox, Ketchup, and who was the last one?
I want to know what order they played in, though. I want to know.
Oh, Honeybee. Winner's side was Honeybee and Ketchup, and would that have been DJT and Sonic?
DJT and Foxy were in winners.
DJT and Foxy, that's right. Sonic was in losers, that's right.
Yeah, Honeybee and Ketchup were the other side of winners, and then losers was Milky and MIT and Saltface and Sonic Fox.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this was the tournament where Ketchup popped off with a little kid.
Yeah,
I was Remington Junior, right?
Yeah.
A 14-year-old boy, a boy who'd barely get pubes, and Ketchup jumped up and started doing some mad spell king.
Oh my god! But to be fair to Ketchup, he put Sorcerer on the map for Quan in the NA scene. Obviously, EU knew about it because we all know Ketchup and we've seen him about, but in NA, for them, it was like, holy crap, this is a character now. Whereas before, nobody had actually... He was always Summoner because, let's be honest, the Summoner Unblockable Vortex was one of the ultimate cheeses when the game came out. So everybody just underlooked the other variations.
Alright, so... I mean, we could talk about, let's say, one notable match from the Evo bracket from each of us that we want to talk about, and then we'll do a summary at the end. So, Yada, what was your favourite match of that tournament?
I'll answer it. It wasn't my favourite match, but I'll answer it as more notable, was probably Honeybee and Sonic Fox. Because it was so good to see the new character. I mean, let's be serious here, she was busted, we all know that, but it was so cool seeing someone do it with a new character, and you know, Sonic Fox was this big unbeatable juggernaut, you know, throughout ESL Pro League. He'd done so well in Injustice, and you know, you see the young guy come along and kind of do him in with Devora was pretty cool, and I don't think anyone really expected it, so I would say that was quite cool to watch, for sure.
Paul?
Oh god, try to think of one match from Evo 2015.
If you want to wait, I'll go next. That's okay.
Yeah, I'll have a look at the bracket and I'll have a think.
Mine personally is Foxy against DJT, the Lao Mirror, if you guys remember correct. So DJT is no slouch, people. Evo winner, genuine godlike player. And Foxy had been around for a while at that point. We'd just seen Ketchup kind of get ruffle stomped in his 2 matches, which was a shame. So Foxy was carrying basically the weight of Europe, the weight of the UK at this point. And DJT, an Evo winner, just a great player, like I said. For Foxy to win so convincingly against DJT in that mirror, it was incredible, man. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. If I had to give an honourable mention, it would probably be MIT against Ketchup. I'm pretty sure MIT did a really good comeback. Yeah, MIT did a really good comeback against Ketchup in one of the rounds. I think Ketchup would have swung the momentum of the game if he'd have won it. He was on his dying legs, but MIT managed to clutch it out. And those are probably my two favourite ones from that tournament anyway. At least top 8. Punkster, what do you think? What's your...
Yeah, it's got to be the winners finals for me. You've got Foxy Grandpa versus Honeybee. We're gonna discount any Sonic Fox match because he played Katana and he plays it like the ultimate snooze fest, which is just instant air fan, walk back, instant air fan, walk back, and then run up grab and all that lot. So this was definitely the best, for me, the best match, and obviously Foxy winning it. Obviously Brexit boys, it really put us on the map because with Ketchup out at that point in the tournament, he was our last hope. And watching Foxy get into winners finals was definitely for me like the best match that was there. Obviously, I'm not going to count the end result because he didn't win Sonic, but hopefully in Injustice 2 it'll be a different case and we'll actually win an Evo in Injustice 2.
Hope so.
Paul,
hopefully.
Yeah, I guess I'll go for 2 then. So the 2 that stick out in my head are probably just Ketchup versus King Jr. It's just hilarious to watch Ketchup do the brutal in real life to King Jr. as well. Like after that was solidified. Like no one blocked against Ketchup at the end of a match ever again because they did not want to get brutaled that way. But other one I think would be probably Honeybee versus Sonic Fox because Honeybee was pretty hyped to put him into losers. And I think a lot of the community was like, oh, is he going to be eliminated this tournament? Is he going to lose? And then we ended up seeing him use the Caltrops in Grand Finals, which of course inspired the achievement. So yeah, I think I'd go with those ones. I think those were the ones that stick out in my head in that one. There might have been some pooled matches that I'm forgetting that were pretty hype.
Yeah.
Just looking over the bracket, there's some really interesting stuff. Like Mustard was eliminated by Calf. Like Armed Calf, the Shinot player at that tournament.
Yeah, that would have been the Shinot mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So just like an overview of Evo 2015, I think it was like the highest level, like I said, we'd seen MK played at. It was pretty incredible at the time.
Yeah.
To watch. New people come through, like,
as well.
Yeah, diverse characters. I was just about to say, Zyfox playing Liu Kang, Honeybee on Devora, DJT and Foxy on Lao. You had Sonic Fox still playing Eren and Kitana. It was just
Outlaw
a really
Eren.
yeah, Outlaw Eren.
How times have changed.
As a side note as well, for characters at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a lot of downplay involving Reptile at the time.
Yeah.
And you know, the general idea was that Reptile sucked and then Milky, you know, clean it alone there, just made Evo top 8 with the character, and there you go. You've got to eat your words for that. The character was actually pretty good.
Reptile has a moveset where he can just beat you because he has just such strong offense. The main problem with Reptile is if it's a character that doesn't let Reptile get his game going, so he can't just cast out force balls when he wants. He's a lot like Tremor as well. When Tremor can control all the screen space, the rolling cutters, put up his armor, do all that sort of stuff, it's one of the hardest matchups you'll ever fight against. But as soon as you play a character that can shut that down and all these offense windows get closed, it's one of those characters where it's really hard to overcome bad matchups, and that's why you don't see Reptile picked by the best players, because he does have counter picks. He's not an all-rounder. He doesn't have 5-5 matchups across the board. The one thing that I will note about this top 8 is no Shinnok at the time.
Yep, that was the big theme. The
Now,
commentators
was
as
Wild
well.
Cowboy in that tournament is a big question. And was Shinnok even played at that time? Because I can't even remember if Shinnok was
As
even
far as I can
effective.
remember, Shinnok was crap.
Was he?
Oh,
Was that
yeah.
the one when he was
Like,
terrible?
No, no.
Shinnok was crap.
Vanilla MKX Shinnok was the
Aye.
worst character in the game. Sorry, Katana mains, but Shinnok was the worst in the game.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of when Shinnok got his buffs. I'm looking
This
at
was
some
when Bone
patch
Shaper
notes, but-
got buffed, and a lot of people at the time, I don't know if you remember, the overhype around Bone Shaper at the time was absolutely ridiculous.
So
Because even Aris, who, I mean, let's be serious here, doesn't really know a lot about MK, you know, I mean, you're a fighting game specialist. And even he was saying, you know, he'd heard all this buzz about Bone Shaper, about how this thing was going to win Evo hands down, and I think Cowboy was there. I think he ended up just finishing outside the top 8. He didn't quite make it, but not a single Shinnok made top 8, whereas the entire weekend and for the whole event, it was all everyone could say was Bone Shaper's going to win this. This character is absolutely retarded, and it didn't. You know, I mean, it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that with a lot of fighting games though. There's usually a top character that's sort of etched out by the community, whether it's through social media or just the top players having chats together, and you see it on multiple fighting games. But then when it actually comes to the tournament, those characters don't necessarily make it to the end or the finals. It's usually the players that take precedent over the characters. Obviously there's fringe cases like Tanya when she was first released. That was a bit ridiculous, but ultimately if you're looking at characters, you should be looking at the players a little bit more than the characters, especially going into Injustice 2. Yeah, you want to lab all your matchups and whatnot, but don't think that character's just going to win you it. So if you think, oh, I'm going to pick the best character in the game that everybody's talking about and you're just going to walk out your pools, it's just not going to happen. You need to be able to play at a high level as well and understand the game.
As a kind of brief, so we've mentioned Evo, so as a kind of a brief summary up, what did you guys think of the first year of MKX competitively? You know, NA, really you as a whole, what did you enjoy it? Was it entertaining?
It's funny. The way I was gonna do this was like the same kind of way that I just did the Evo thing and just say everyone pick like one thing from 2015 tournament players as a whole, like a best moment, a best set.
Well, I can pick mine right now if you want.
Yeah, I could do mine right now quite easily, and I bet you guys would probably say the same one.
Yep.
And it's WoW and Cowboy against Forever King, that first to 10.
No,
first to 10.
Actually, I wouldn't have said that.
Really?
No.
That is to me that was the best set in 2015 by far.
Really?
Honestly,
I don't even care because there was so much hype surrounding it. Forever King took that one game at I can't remember what tournament it was. I think it was like CO question mark, maybe something like that. But Forever King took a 3-2 with Summoner Quan over WoW and Cowboy. And it stemmed from there, and then WoW and Cowboy starts talking all this shit, you know, does the WoW and Cowboy thing, and then after that, it's like, okay, first to 10, and then they added the whole name change thing on top of the set, and I was just like, damn. And then the set itself was so godlike. The level of play from both of them, Cowboy scooping Predator's projectiles before he could start them, Forever King like anti-airing, stopping like the projectile game, downforce, like the spacing.
There is competition for this though.
Aye,
because I'm fairly sure at Summer Jam that was the year where 13-0 was born, and that actually became a meme.
Yep. I wouldn't have even said that.
Was Perfect Legend versus Sonic, wasn't it?
Yes. Aye, that was. Aye, this whole thing came about where PL had basically not insinuated, he'd flat out stated that Sonic had no fundamentals, and NRS had to give him training wheels by giving him characters like Batgirl and, you know, the likes of Aaron Black and Katana and...
Now, training wheels was a different thing. Training wheels was a thread he made saying, oh, the training wheels are coming off, I'm going to beat these competitions, you know, you try and beat me now, yeah, and then he didn't win anything.
And then it got to it got to Summer Jam where they did the right. We'll do the first to 10. Your usual rules. Loser can change character, and they did first to 10 games. Katana versus Lao, which for anyone who doesn't know was a match extremely in Katana's favour. And Sonic can breeze to a 10-0 fairly convincingly. And then PL got in the mic, much to the behest, if I remember correctly, of one Tom Brady, who tried to pull him off the stage and said, you know, I said I would have beat his Aaron Black, but we didn't actually get to see that character.
Oh, yeah.
So they did the impromptu first to 3 with Lau and Aaron Black, and then 13-0 was born. That was the meme. And PL...
Yeah, they were spamming it even on the Street Fighter stream, the recent tournament. I can't remember which one. The Street Fighter one. It was last weekend. It was just the Super Perfect Legends on stream, 13-0. They changed the words in his name to letters and stuff like that.
Actually, I want to change my mind about what I said. I want to change my mind. Madzen Vendetta is the best set of 2015.
Madzen Vendetta.
Right, hold on. Are we talking? Yeah. Are we talking the best set, or are we talking the best moment?
The best moment of 2015.
I'll just give mine now, because I cannot believe nobody's mentioned this. Foxy winning SCR.
I don't know. It was good, but I think
Foxy going over there and throwing them to death was... It really kind of showed, you know, this guy's real. And the way he did Evil was amazing, and... There was still the kind of stigma about EU, but I think Foxy going over there and absolutely battering them. You know, Yomi being dominant at the time, Sonic being dominant.
Like, that's the thing. None of them were at SCR, and that was the option select that America used. Like, Sonic
the Yomi guys were there.
He wasn't there. What?
I mean, King was there, Michelangelo was there, Slayer was there.
Yeah, but some of them were there, but not like the absolute highest placement at the time, which were Sonic, GTM, that kind of thing.
In the same year, Sonic Fox lost to White Boy.
That was Foxy, not Sonic Fox.
Yeah, sorry, Foxy lost to White Boy. I'm pretty sure did Foxy not lose to V-Man in 2015, or was that 2016? Oh yeah, he did.
That was 2016 KIT. I was there when it happened. Actually, it's quite funny.
So Foxy kind of Foxy does really well wherever he goes, like, but his record in 2015 wasn't really without blemish.
Yeah.
NEC was kind of a bad one for him. But another one that I want to bring up is Dizzy winning Combo Breaker.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, the guy tested the game. I know. But still,
years of
it was
or months of Sonic Fox dominance and injustice, and then the first two major he goes to an MKX, he lost.
Yep.
And he won Fate Late,
which was so high. Yeah.
I mean, he did reset the bracket, and it was a 2-2. I mean, it was a 3-2. Sorry, last round, last game. But Dizzy picking a character that was pretty retarded as well.
Yeah. Well, let's not pretend Aaron Black wasn't stupid originally as well.
Oh yeah.
The entire top 8 was Bujutsu Kung Jin, who the Yomi guys all used. You had Raiden, you had Aaron Black, Raptor, I believe, was there as well.
Yeah.
He played Takeda, who at the time wasn't too great, and you had Alucard with Kotal, who wasn't too great.
Kotal was really good in Vanilla, actually. Kotal was good.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of gaps.
I'm talking compared to the likes of the Bujutsus, etc.
Oh yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Punk, what do you think? What was your moment of 2015?
Oh, I said it.
Oh yeah,
I think it's 13-0.
Yeah, 13-0.
Yeah,
another one more.
It's certainly the most memorable.
I was going to say
more that I can think of is Summer Jam, Sonic Fox DJT, where the tremor corner glitch.
Oh yeah, oh that was so heartbreaking. I was like, what the fuck? I can't believe that.
He would have won as well, wouldn't he? He would have actually won.
He would have won if that hadn't happened. That was
yeah, because Sonic Fox was blocking high the entire time. And
yeah, that was so
like
shit.
After the shatter hit, he was still standing up, and he just got out the corner with 2-on-1-2-2, and then at the end of the set, MIT and DJT are standing up just with their arms like outstretched. And in that same tournament, you had Forever King, Sonic Fox, the home screen press. If you guys remember.
No. So long
Don't
ago.
you remember Sonic Fox? Sonic Fox Forever King. It was like a really close set. It was like 2-2 or something, and somebody pressed like the home screen on a controller.
Oh yeah.
was a lot of
Oh,
shit.
that's right. Yeah, I remember that as well. And even though Sonic had a pixel of health left, I don't know what happened, but I guess they like wanted them to restart the game, so they played the whole game again, or at least the round.
And Sonic won, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
So, Paul,
Yeah,
what
that-
what was your moment
Oh,
of
my-
2015?
My
didn't get
personal
to it.
favourite moment of 2015 was Foxy versus Nivek at the Invitational, where Nivek bet Foxy like 7 straight games in a row, and Foxy still won.
Yeah, that was that was the fan's choice, wasn't it?
The what? Sorry.
Was that the fan? No, was that the fan choice one?
Yeah, that was the fan choice.
The one
Invitational,
where it was PL, Justin Wong, Foxy, and Nivek.
Yeah.
That was really good.
ridiculous.
That was
It
awesome.
was ridiculous.
What do you guys think about Scar versus Sonic Fox hat trick versus Outlaw? And yes, that was
remember that.
2015. It was ESL, if you guys remember. Scar won that 1 week of ESL, beating Sonic Fox with hat trick.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I honestly don't even recall that.
Wasn't that the only time he'd been beaten in that year?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that might be one of the hypest moments actually. On ESL, obviously. I honestly thought that was 2016, but yeah, it makes sense for it to be
2015.
there.
What was
Yeah.
there?
Scar beating Sonic Fox with hat trick.
Oh
That
yeah.
put Scar on the map, didn't it? That game.
No. Scar was on the map before that. Scar was put on the map at KIT 2016, he says, which was where I was at when he bet V-Man. He was like, V-Man was on a tear that day. He double eliminated Undead Jim, he bet Foxy, he bet a couple other people, and then when he played Scar, it came down to the last game, and Scar switched to Special Forces and ended up beating him 3-2.
That OP Special Forces.
Yeah, bro. People don't know about Special Forces, I tell you. Or at least maybe they do a bit more now, but I remember
Variation
talking to
is
Scar after that.
stupid, man. But
Yeah,
that's
it's annoying,
that's
but-
a discussion for another day. But bloody hell.
Yeah, it's annoying, but it's no demo, you know. But yeah, that's that. We'll talk about that in the character cast. But yeah, KIT was, I think, when Scar felt he was put in the map. I think Scar beating Sonic Fox with a hat trick in the ESL. Firstly, he did nothing hat trick specific to beat Sonic Fox particularly. Like, he outread him. Sonic Fox was doing some weird reads, like he did a wake up flip at one point when he was in the corner. It just didn't seem to make any sense, and Scar obviously called it out and punished him for it, you know. Anti-aired him and they tried to jump on him. Like, Scar just outplayed him. He didn't do anything hat trick specific, but people then took notice of hat trick because of that, which is really weird.
Actually, he did do something fairly hat trick specific. He
Okay.
caught him a lot with the EX hat call, which is it's almost like Cyax's EX saw where it just comes out, and he was just catching him with that quite a bit. And I think from when he got that, it was giving him the momentum to take the games.
What do you mean,
I
the-
don't remember it too much, but I do remember seeing that, and that was the first thing I thought when I seen the game. Well, that's pretty fast, that move.
do you
And it
mean
does
the-
catch you off guard.
Do you mean EX back forward too?
I have no idea. It's the one where he throws out the hat and then it comes back to him a little bit like
Okay, no,
Oh, the hat toss.
That's a different move from EX callback. EX callback is EX down 2, just when you've already got the hat out and then you call it back. from being
No,
out.
the one where he throws it out and then it comes
Okay.
back.
Okay, that's EX hat toss then, Hatarang.
Yeah, Hatarang,
Yeah. Hatarang, yeah. Sonic claimed on Twitter afterwards that he didn't know the matchup, one of his many Twitter things, but yeah, something, he said he forgot the matchup. He did know it, but he forgot it, so when Scar was doing stuff like the EX hat toss and block strings, even though you can interrupt that with normals or duck the second hit of that, he wasn't doing that, and yeah, he did get caught by that. I do remember that at the end of the match, you're right in saying that.
I felt like what won him the game, wasn't it? One of them.
Yeah,
The
that
last one.
that one in the game. That's what I'm saying. You're right in that. The EX hat toss, he must have just forgot there was a gap there and not interrupted it. So
It
that
might
was one of the
actually
things.
be Hat-Trick's best tool as well. Like I said, everything else,
Yeah,
it's got to be his best tool, and that isn't variationless.
I wouldn't say that's his best tool. I'd say his best tool is probably EX callback. EX Hatarang is good, but like, you know, it having a gap in block and yeah, it's just there's problems with it. But it used to be worse. In fact, the scaling in that move was terrible. You spent a bar on it and you got like 29% from it. It was so bad. So I was the only hat trick who said, like, can you buff the scaling? Like, this move needs better scaling on it. And you know, Eddie Wong and the rest of the people were like, no, it doesn't need it. It's pointless buff and all that. And what do you know? It ended up getting buffed. So I'm glad it did. But yeah, it's one of his best moves. You're not wrong in that it's one of his best moves. I don't know if I call it his best move, but EX callback is really good for pressure. And of course it's one of his main combo extenders and stuff like that as well. But yeah, Hatarang's up there. I wish it didn't have a gap in it, but I don't know, maybe they thought it'd be too powerful without it. Lol, hat trick too powerful, can you imagine?
So
it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean...
It isn't. Honestly, it's not a bad variation. It's not his best, clearly, but it's not a bad variation. And if you're not ready for it, it can clean you up.
See,
as
that's
Sonic
the thing.
Fox felt.
It's more of a, like, if you don't know it and you're not ready kind of variation, because its offense is very, like, specific. Everything he does is minus. Like, every time you put out the hat he's minus, every time you call it back unless he spends bar he's minus. Like, a lot of the stuff is minus.
But at the same time, you've got to be ready for when he's going to throw the hat out, and if the hat's already out, he can use it to stagger, and Lau's staggers are already strong. I'm not saying it's a top 10, 15 variation, I'm just saying you can't sleep on it. You need to at least know its gimmicks, or you will lose. Against a good one anyway. So you can't just walk in there and beat it.
So as everyone can as everyone can hear, this is a nice preview for the character cast that we've all been doing. We'll move on. I'm going to, Reagan, if it's alright, I'm going to combine a couple of topics, because I think if we do some of these topics individually, we could actually be here till tomorrow. So I'm going to merge this one together. So patches, and not any individual patch per se, but how do you guys feel about the support that MKX was given throughout the game's life? Do you think NRS did the job? And then you can touch upon what they actually did balance-wise, I guess, but what did you think?
I think support-wise, like, I guess that can be kind of split between patches and characters, so I guess I'll just briefly touch on both. Patch-wise, it's kind of like, when you don't really know the logistics behind the, like, how much money they had and when they were going to do it, or when they were allowed to do it, or when they could do it, then it's hard to say if it'd been better for them to spread it out more or do more later on in the game's life, or that kind of thing. But for what they did, I mean, I think a common thing is that they patch very quickly early on in the game's life, and then do it a bit more sporadically later on. And I think that kind of sporadic later on patching is a good pace, like once every kind of 4, 5, 6 months. I think that kind of slightly wider pacing in patches is a bit more appropriate, and it gives people time, just like with DLC characters, you know, if they had more time to explore that, then they could understand how the current meta feels, how the character feels, how their matchups feel, you know, get really good grip on what's changed and how that affects everything. So I think a wider pacing would have been better patch-wise, but I guess they're just going to do what they can early on in the beginning to get it to as good a state as they like it until they're ready to do like another big patch. Character-wise, you know, they're all about marketing their other properties and trying to synergize other products, so them having a lot of guest characters in the game is inevitable, but it doesn't mean that, you know, everybody's going to like it. Because I mean, when I first saw Leatherface in the Combat Pack 2 trailer, I didn't know who he was. Like, I've not seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I didn't know who Leatherface was when I saw that trailer. And you could see it in Ketchup and Mustard's face if you saw their reaction trailer. It was hilarious. They were like, what? They couldn't believe he was in either. But yeah, I think they did well to appeal to as many people as they could, I guess, and get as much money as they could. But I don't know, would have liked to see more support as long as it helped the game. Because some patches helped the game, some patches didn't as much. In my opinion anyway. So, yeah, as long as it helps the game, I guess support is good. But if it just makes the game worse in some ways, I don't know if it's as necessary. But,
Reagan,
yeah, that's happy.
what did you think about the patches or how the game was supported? Or
I think the patches in general came at a little bit too late, 9 times out of 10. Like they did the right things for the most part, but like they were a month late. The patches themselves are fine. They fixed the characters that needed to be fixed or changed or whatever. So like every patch has got like, well, most major patches have got like a nickname. So you got like the alien nerf patch, the Tanya nerf patch, that sort of stuff. So like they're obviously fixing the right things, because then the names of the patches are indicative of that. But I think they just came out a little bit late. Like, if the Tanya change patch would have came out before like season 2 rather than after it, like season 2 finals, it would have been completely different and the game would have been in a better place for that sort of tournament. If the alien nerf patch would have came out before EVO 2016, for example, the game would have been in a much healthier state for that. So I think the patches, that's what I think, the patches are fine, they were just late. Don't know about you, Ponk, I don't know what you think.
yeah, Paul,
I think characters. You know, is it your controller, Zorro, that beeps out all the nonsense? Robin's got that. But we can hear all your Call of Duty stuff.
Fuck's
Yeah.
sake, my bad. I'm playing well, mate. Carry on.
Playing well, mate. Calling that nuke. Yeah, I feel like characters and patches go kind of hand in hand in terms of, you know, when you're talking about the overall pace of the game and how it's developing and content. I think with Injustice, they're starting off on the right foot. First of all, I was a PC player when it all kicked off, and PC was treated abysmally, worse than Tremor. And we literally had no updates, no combat. We had Combat Pack 1, but it was so many bugs, it was ridiculous, and then they just stopped all support for PC, and then a year later they said, oh, here you go, but it was too late. Everybody had already just sort of given up. Now, we do dabble on there sometimes, but there is no community at all. The main issue I have with the patches is the patches were not healthy for the game in how many they had, and for how many they had, they didn't fix so much stuff that was just quite clearly over the top in strength. So they need to have the ground rules set out for Injustice 2 right from the get-go. They need to say, we're going to release these characters, because it looks like they're already doing that. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter today, they're saying we're going to have some news soon. But when we had it in MK, we had Ed Boon hinting at a patch 1 month, and then we're not hear anything for another month. And it was just, after a while, it was just ridiculous. It was like, when's this going to get fixed? When are we going to get our new characters and things like that? So they need to have a schedule for patching. Maybe it's once every 6 months. Hopefully this game's a little bit more balanced than MK was. But if you're a competitor and you're competing for money, having to go up against a 6-frame mid in tournament and things like that, which is just... like, he can't be in the game. And a lot of people will say, oh, Capcom games together. Capcoms don't tend to have stuff in that's that crazy over the top. There might be some stuff that's very, very strong, but there's no way they'd have something like that in a game. So NRS is a very different game to those games. It does require a lot of patches because it functions differently, but they really do have to be careful in the overpatching of it, because if they overpatch Injustice 2, it will put people off, because a lot of people will pick up a game, they'll learn a character, and then they'll come back to it a month later, and a lot of the stuff they were doing doesn't work, and that puts a lot of people off. So they need to make sure that they get it right, and they get the communication right as well going forward. That's all I want. I don't care what they patch, to be honest, as long as they're trying to fix it and trying to make it improvements. As long as they communicate it better over Twitter, over their website, whatever. Just let us know. I don't want riddles. I don't want Alien playing chess with Predator. Just let us know. Just say, look, guys, you know, it's like, this is our release schedule. This is our patch schedule. Have fun. Like, we know then. We know what we're in for.
Yeah, I think what you touched on is what you've alluded to, at least, is quite correct. That the patch frequency wasn't quite there in this game. I'd say they patched. If you look just based on pure numerics, Paul, you said that there's been 16 patches / hotfixes in the life of MK. If you just do a stupid figure and say the game's been out for 2 years now, it's been longer than that. Say 2 years and like 3 months, so that's 27. So there's been a patch or a hotfix every month and a half. By and large, that's an average, and that's probably not accurate. But I'd say that's a little much.
Yeah, especially when you're making and breaking a character in nearly every single one of those patches. One patch, like, a character would just get completely mutilated and like, you wouldn't see it. Do you know what I mean? We're talking Kung Lao's plus 27 hat, gone. Do you know what I mean?
12,
and then nobody, is it plus 7? I don't. I'm not too sure.
The
but again,
original nerf was plus 27 to plus 12, if I remember correctly. Paul, you're probably able to correct me. A little bit better on that. I think it got changed twice.
Now,
but I do.
Now EX hat is plus 7.
I think I recall the original change being from plus 27 to plus 12. I don't know if that's correct, Paul. Just
wait for what? Sorry.
Lao's hat.
EX orbiting hat. The first nerf was plus 27 to plus 12, I think.
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you remember what patch that was? Okay, here it is. Orbiting hat plus 12 down from plus 27. That was in the July 2nd patch.
Yeah. So I get what you mean. Like a month and a half for each patch is patch / hotfix on average is a lot.
Fisticuffs, like, it was one of the variations that DJT sort of brought into the limelight. It got patched once for the whole of the thing, and if you love that character, it's just bad luck. It's just unlucky.
Yeah. One thing I want to say though about the patches is that out of the 15, sorry, suppose I say 16.
Yes.
Yeah, 16. Out of the 16 patches and hotfixes the game received, 11 of those were in the first 5 months of the game.
Oh!
There you go.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. It's like, I've spent all this time learning my character. I feel like I'm getting good now, because let's be honest, yeah, there might be like, oh, Raiden's really strong, but there's so many strong characters in that roster at that point. And it takes because there's so many variations, the scope is ridiculous to patch the whole cast.
Yeah.
Not everything's been fleshed out, but there are also other total bullshit variations. We've got Kang doing infinites on certain characters because they haven't got a fast enough down one. You know, all this bullshit that's going on. You finally got your character learned, and you don't really play MK, but you're enjoying it. Bang, your character no longer works. They've changed something. It's, you know, what you were doing before don't work. People just go, I sod it, I'll carry on playing what I was playing before. People don't have the patience. They just want to play. But I don't think Injustice 2, and I'm hoping this is fingers crossed there, touch wood, I don't think it will be released in the state MKX was when it was in vanilla. Well, yes, there will be certain things they'll have overlooked and they couldn't foresee, because it's impossible in a game like that to not. But with the way they've done the gear system, I'm hoping that they've, in the competitive sense, there isn't too much bullshit. I expect with gear, there's going to be a lot of shit people find that is broke as hell.
Well, but considering the competitive scene, yeah, I mean, considering the competitive scene won't use gear abilities, that's less of a worry for us.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't have to balance them. Yep.
Yeah, But for the main roster balance, it's kind of inherent that the balance is going to be better than Injustice 1 from the start, considering that a lot of the characters in the game are legacy characters. But for the new characters, yeah, they're, you know, unexplored, there's stuff in there that we haven't seen yet that, you know, we need to find out about in day one, but I'm sure it'll get patched pretty quickly as per usual, and we won't know when the patches are coming, we'll just be given them.
We'll just get a tweet from Ed Boons, like, you know, just some random shit that everyone's like, patch, and then he won't say anything for 2 weeks, and then one day somebody will pull up a string from some random website, oh, here it is, and it's like, you know, it's that. I know it's cool and stuff, and it's funny. I don't mind so much with the character reveals doing it that way, with a character reveal, because they're quite fun, but when you talk about patch notes, because people are really close to the game when they get to this point, especially when they're competitive, that, you know, it's their baby, so to speak. They really want to know if they're going to get the stuff that they need to compete, and they need to know soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do agree with what you were saying earlier on about their communication. Like, they really need to step that up. Patches need to be, like, appropriately communicated to us, whether it be on the WD forums, whether it be in Test Your Might, whether it be on Twitter. Somewhere we need to know that there's a patch coming soon, so that we can, you know, be ready for it and prepare, and we don't have to be looking at the patch notes site every 60 seconds to find out when there's a patch. I just think we need to be a bit more open about when patches are coming.
I think the way I kind of guess I would feel about it is, I would hope by the end of the game, based on the figures that Paul gave us, that they kind of learned the lesson, where the patches were becoming less and less frequent, and I think maybe sort of became more meaningful because they weren't happening rapid fire.
There needs to be a difference between a patch and a hotfix as well. A hotfix is something that they put in when there's something clearly busted. That's not a patch. If there's someone brings something up with a character, let's say Tanya or whatever, and they hotfix in a very quick, obviously it's a patch, but it's not a big patch, like an overhaul. Like with Capcom, obviously they do a patch at the end of every, or they've said they're going to do a patch at the end of each tour. So so players know when they're going into the tour that it's going to be the same throughout it, so they can learn the characters they need to learn, and then when it's over, they'll release another one, and then you'll have to learn the metagame for that. But if there's bullshit in the game, I want it hot fixed. You know, there doesn't have to be a massive patch of all the characters, but I don't want to have to deal with someone who's plus 30 in the corner into overhead lows like constantly, because it's inevitable that that's going to pop up somewhere. And
but Aicho has that.
If you're playing for well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation, you know. But if you're competing for money and every single week the same characters doing this same brain dead thing, we're gonna get resident sleepers in chats. You know, people are gonna be like, "Oh God, not this again." We want to see hype. We want to see competition at its highest level. And we won't get that unless they're active with it, because if they leave for 6 months, then people will definitely be put off the game. But not, we don't want them actively patching the whole cast once every month or 2 months, because people will get put off as well. There's a very fine balance, I think.
Yeah.
They could do it with the ESL seasons as well. They could do this is season 1 of ESL. The patch that you've got now is going to run throughout of it. We'll do any adjustments and hotfixes on anything we find that we feel are a little bit too much. But at the end of that, we'll have another look at our character things. We're going to have the DLC coming in, and then we'll see if we need to make any bigger sweeping changes.
Yeah,
I'd say that sounds about right.
I'd say I just hope they've learned the lesson. And I think towards the end of the game, I would like to think that's the case, but we'll see in Injustice, you know. But we can only see. But I mean, overall, I think what I will credit NRS for, specifically Tyler Lansdowne, I think the community manager, I think does a really good job. I think he seems like a pretty transparent guy, and you know, he does interact with a lot of people on, you know, the likes of Reddit and Twitter, and yeah, Boone can be quite cryptic, but Tyler seems to be pretty decent at his job, and you know, he's always
they're only compliant and they're only vocal when the ball's in their court.
Yeah.
If they slip up, it's a ghost town. Let's not get let's not get this mixed up. They will sweep it under the rug, and there's radio silence for anything that's wrong. But as soon as it's positive or it looks good on their thing, they're all over it. So let's not be too sort of optimistic about it. You know, if they mess up, we won't hear about it. But anything good they do, it's all song and dance on social media. The biggest example of this going into Injustice is there's been so many questions asked for the Radio Watchtower streams, yet the ones they bring up are, will Black Adam be able to take his cape off? And we can see on the thing all these great questions that they could answer, but they don't want to answer them for whatever reason, and they don't even address them. But obviously, it's when the ball's in their court, when they're ready, it's all on their terms, and the players just have to deal with that. And I don't like that for communication. If you go on the Hearthstone as well, I don't know if people play Hearthstone, players have been bitching about that for the longest time as well, and obviously because of the backlash, they've had to change it now where they're doing these blogs and stuff all the time just to keep the players up to date.
Yeah.
We wish
that
Injustice is as big as Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Right, well,
they've got an area
Paul,
for articles, but they just never. They only use it for patch notes. They don't use it to like update us on like, oh, there's a patch coming by the way, or like, do you remember what they did for Injustice 1 where they kind of hinted at patch changes that were coming out? Like, there was one for Bane, there was one for Joker.
Yeah, I remember the Bane one.
Yeah, I think there was one for Cyborg, but yeah, they like, it was Lex. Lex was another one. So they kind of gave you an idea of some of the things you would see in the patch before the patch came out. So we knew there was a patch coming, but we didn't get the full patch notes until they came out, but we did get a hint of what was coming, so we could, theorise and do...
They did that with Molina CX Roll and stuff, and Raiden's armour going through clone, do you remember?
Yeah.
When they brought out this... And that was good, and I really hope they continue to do that, and that line of release, for sure. Because it gets you hyped then, and you're like, oh, is my character going to be next, and you just have to wait and see until your character gets nerfed.
Yeah.
Moving on, sorry.
That's it.
Again, we'll combine two, because I think these two do sort of go hand in hand. So, the netcode being improved, and Combat Pack 2.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Netcode being improved was obviously a majorly needed improvement. I'm glad it was improved, but it still has its issues. The inherent 3-frame delay, no matter what, is kind of a bummer. But I guess they maybe had to do that. I don't know. But the new netcode has led to there being no region lock in Injustice 2, which is great because it means that we don't have to buy 2 versions of the game just to play with everybody, at least in PS4. So yeah, I'm glad that they managed to improve the netcode and implement that. Combat Pack 2, I feel Combat Pack 2 had a very controversial effect in the game, because depending on the character, sometimes it was good, or sometimes it was fine, sometimes it was bad. So I mean, we had Leatherface, Alien, Triborg, and Boraito in Combat Pack 2, wasn't it? So we had Leatherface first, and Leatherface, I think people thought he was okay as well, kind of like Jason, not particularly amazing, but yeah, I don't think anybody took any notice of Pretty Lady. I think we had a lot of people playing Killer. I think Killer's a more beginner friendly variation, in the sense that just it basically seems to hit confirming you just do anything into any string into the Berserker Stance 1, and it was pretty safe. If they blocked it, it gave you a full combo and hit. Killer was just pretty decent, although obviously Leatherface, known for his lack of mids. Butcher, I think, has received the most nerfs out of the 3 variations. you know, it had a 6-frame command grab, which is actually really interesting in the things that it could punish, but they ended up nerfing that. So now his command grab's 8 frames, but it doesn't give him any more tick throws, so he only has 1 tick throw off of his down 4, which is really minus in block. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because Butcher used to be a lot of fun. Now it's, you know, it's still playable, but yeah, Leatherface just kind of has stuck in the kind of maybe mid to low mid tier area of character viability. Alien, however, I mean, I guess we'll go into it more in the character cast, but basically Alien really threw a span on the works for the game, because he ended up being really strong, and a lot of people were playing him. We saw him a lot in a lot of top 8s for games after Alien's release. But I think he might have been ever so slightly over-nerfed in the October patch. I don't think he's unviable, but I think he was slightly over-nerfed. I think now Acidic is the best variation. I think Tercatan might have been before, but Acidic is the best variation now. Conjurer is just kind of, again, it's another variation that it's like a setup variation, so there's stuff that you can explore with it, but it's like Master of Storms. Like, there's a lot of setups and stuff that you can do with it, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't have, it doesn't feel whole, it doesn't feel connected. It feels like you can do strings, you can do combos, you can do setups, but it's like, you know, there's just, it's missing something. But Tercatan went from really good to holy shit, why would you use this variation? Because it went really unsafe. It's really unsafe now. Like, you can't just throw out Rekkas, you can't just do mix-ups. Like, pretty much anything you do, any specials are just unsafe. So yeah, Tercatan went from played quite a bit to, does anyone actually play this variation anymore? So although he was ridiculous pre-patch, I think he shouldn't have been nerfed as hard as he was, but he should have been nerfed. Boraicho is the guy
Careful now.
that I could not believe this character made it, but I understand why he made it, because I believe they were working on the Mortal Kombat X web series, and well, I guess that just hasn't come to fruition yet, or might not ever. But Boraicho being in, you know, I was trying to think it in terms of like character popularity, and I don't even think Boraicho's a particularly popular character. He's like one of the joke characters. You know, he's farting, he's puking, he's like being a big drunk guy, and I was like, okay, sure. And I had a grudge against him, I will admit, for the fact that I was so sure Fujin was going to be in Combat Pack 2 after being out of MK for so long. But no, we got Boraicho, so sure. But when I saw his reveal trailer, I decided that I was going to try Bertitsu, because I liked the look of the cane moves, like his normals and specials. It just looked very swaggy the way he moved with the cane. So I decided I'd give it a go. And then I went into the lab and found out that he had a lot of gaps, it was really unsafe, and I was like, huh, okay, well I guess I'm not playing this as much as I thought I would. And now we have, at least in the current meta, we see that Dragon Breath is pretty much the standout best variation. So Boraicho, obviously polarizing because there's a lot of 50-50s, and but he suffers in neutral a little because of that. He did get buffs, which would help, and that's why Dragon Breath is pretty solid now. But yeah, when he was first released, we saw him having some problems in neutral. And Triborg, I think this was the one thing they did about Combat Pack 2 right, like really right, in my opinion. Because Triborg was the character that everybody wanted. People thought with the variation system, oh, you know, we could fit the 3 robots in there and they could all be their own variations, and they did that as well. So I think Triborg was something that they really got right, at least in the idea. And then with implementation, you know, we got Cyber Sub-Zero. That was a character that I played at Vianality back in March last year. It was a lot of fun. Obviously he received his share of nerfs, and I think the gap between the variations kind of really spread out the latest patch. We saw Smoke and Sector really rise to the top, especially with some of their buffs. Like, it still confuses me as to why they buffed Sector's rockets. They really didn't have bad recovery in the first place. But you know, we saw Sector and Smoke come out at the top, and Cyber Sub and Cyrax come out you know, a little bit further down. Let's say. I'm not going to give an exact position, but they come a little bit further down. At least after the patches where they got nerfed and had nothing to compensate for that. So yeah, Triborg again, interesting character. You know, they're 50-50 starters as well. Yeah, I think Triborg was executed well overall. But yeah, we see a lot of smoke now, and not sure about his design. But the rest of them are pretty fun to play. But overall, Combat Pack 2, I think it could have been better. I think it could have been better. What about you guys? Ponkster, how do you feel about Combat Pack 2?
I feel Boride Cho was a mistake. And I don't mean that as in the character.
What is going on here?
Just wait. No, I think Boride Cho... Yeah, Boride Cho is a good character, and a lot of people are excited for him, but their execution of him in the game wasn't good. He was either going to be extremely strong or extremely weak. There was no in between with that character, and I feel like that's what stopped him from seeing any of the limelight during this time. In regards to Triborg, it's just crazy. I mean, you're getting 4 characters for the price of 1, essentially, because they all do play so different, and they all look so cool. Like, they're probably Triborg's probably the most popular character online. I don't think I see, because there's 4 characters, you know, you always will see, on average, at least one variation of Triborg more often than the other ones. So Triborg for me is a massive hit. I know people are saying, oh, Triborg's massively overpowered, but Triborg, I don't think Triborg has anything that makes you salty when you lose to it. You usually just get sort of either pressured out, or they've just, you know, they've done the right reads on your one. I don't really ever feel salty losing against it. Smoke's a little bit bullshit. You know, he is on the little bit side. But when people say, "Oh, Sector's disgusting overpowered," he's only overpowered in the sense that he's got a lot of tools. But if you know the matchup and you can win against it, it's not unwinnable. And I say that playing as Cyrax, who people would probably pitch as like one of the worst matchups you could ever possibly have, but he does have his weaknesses. His armor's fully punishable, you know, he doesn't have bullshit to it, safe armor or that. You can't just wake up for free. And his teleport is also punishable as well if you make the right read. So then there are some characters, Scorpion, who, you know, they've got a mix up within the teleport, which I just can't stand it. And I know Sector's got a mix up, but there's a way that you can stop that mix up if you know the matchup. So in regards to Triborg, I feel like he was good. I feel like that's the kind of character going forward that's just amazing. I don't think we'll ever see that again in DLC though, so that'd be really optimistic to think we'll get multiple characters out of one. The other character, I think Leatherface, was Leatherface in this combat pack?
Yep. Yeah, Leatherface was combat pack too, yeah. Leatherface, Alien, and Boride.
That's it. So I thought Leatherface was a terrible character choice, but they did an amazing job with what the character they had. I think the character looks fantastic. He has one of the best. He has the best brutality in the game. I think he's really, really fun to play because he's fast. And you actually have to have a brain to play him. And I think he's great. But I think the idea of the character is bad, and they were obviously pushed by Warner Brothers to have the character because I believe there was a film coming out at the time with the guy in it, Mike Myers. So that was not Mike Myers. That's Austin Powers, isn't it? It's something similar to that. But you know, I think they had their arm twisted behind the back, but boy, did they do an amazing job on Leatherface. And you know, he's a good, fun character. Alien, I was so hyped for Alien. So hyped for Alien when he was coming out. He was definitely he was the first character I picked up. I couldn't wait to play him. What a disaster of a character! It was an absolute. And the main reason why was because without an armored overhead tail flip, nearly all his strings were borderline useless and completely negative on blocks. So we just completely relied on a gimmick of an armored launcher. And then when you combine that with acidic and all the restand damage that he could have done, it created a recipe for disaster. Now you do not see this character because although he's not too bad, you know, this character is still a mid-tier character. You can still win with him. He's just not. He is a negative. I think in Tarkatan he is actually not I don't think he's. I think he's punishable on nearly everything. Like I think 1-1-2 is like still safe or slightly plus, but he just doesn't have a character plan other than mix the opponent, and I hate that. Absolutely hate it.
2 is -3. I'm actually messing about with Alien while you did it.
Yeah, that's not 1-1, not 1-1-2. It's I meant 3-3-2 something. The one where he uses his tail.
Oh,
but the character,
3-3-3?
in terms of the character design, I think they nailed Alien. It was always going to be really hard to put Alien into the game. Alien is such a even when they announced him, we're like, oh my god, how is he going to look in a sort of 2D-esque fighter? And I think they nailed him. I thought it looked brilliant. I thought they did all the variations justice. They were all really cool. They all had their own purpose. But from a competitive standpoint, once they removed the overhead launcher, which was his best sort of thing, and they made it so negative you could actually punish it on the non-EX version, it just became. It was like, this is actually a good, well-designed character. He doesn't have any cool game plan or anything like that. It's just mix or die, kind of like Bo Raicho in a way, if you think about it. Once you break down the character and you have a look, well, this guy can't even connect his mid after a poke. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just start to think who was putting this frame data together, and where was the game plan going, and ultimately you just think they've lost it. They've lost the plot halfway through the character and just decided not to rework him. Like Drunken Master's like the perfect embodiment of that. It's like, it's such a great idea. We've got this brilliant idea, we're going to get him drunk, then even drunker, and then drunker, and he's going to become more powerful. They go into the game design, they get it all going, they're like, yeah, we can't make this work, and they're like, we're shipping it anyway. Nah, it doesn't really mold. But in terms of fun, maybe he's fun, but nobody plays Drunken Master for fun, really. It doesn't even, it's not fun, is it? Is Drunken Master fun?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's fun. It's just it requires a lot of thought. Like I think it's hard to see like if it's really bad or like really good. But to be honest, I think we should leave like tier discussion and putting it on for character cast. But it's fun, yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say on Combat Pack 2.
Sure. Regan?
KP2 was a massive disappointment for me.
Yeah.
Goals back one went away.
No, KP2 characters, I don't really give a. That's like. It doesn't. The patch doesn't ask me because I've gone from playing a character that's mid-high tier to retarded tier, so I can't complain. The characters, I don't really like any of them. I played Smoke in MK9. Smoke was my main, but then this iteration of Smoke came out and I hate it, absolutely hate it with a passion. I think it's probably the worst iteration of Smoke I've seen in any MK game. That includes the 3D ones where he's kind of just like a fucking, he looks like just weird, he just looks strange, and that's Cyber Smoke, it's not human Smoke. Smoke's not always been a human, but I think the way they've done Cyber Smoke in this game, they tried to put Smoke like too similar to Sector and Cyrax, and it just doesn't work. I just don't think he looks right, there's something about him, it's weird, I hate it. So there's that. Triborg for me was underwhelming, Sector especially, because he just was so lame and dry in his playstyle to start with because of how close up rockets were. It was just, okay, I'll sit back and just throw projectiles and then up rockets. Oh, it's like plus 6 billion on hit, I'll just wait until this hits you, because that's obviously going to happen eventually. Like, and then Cyrax was pretty poor, from what I remember, when KP2 dropped. The only interesting variation of Triborg for me was Cyber Sub. It was ridiculous, and then he got absolutely destroyed. So that was that out. No Cyber Sub for me. Bo, I have never even took into the lab. Character just doesn't interest me. I'm all for gag characters, but there's nothing like people find both funny and entertaining, but I just don't really find a like mid-50s Chinese man farting on people really entertaining.
Yeah.
Sauce. I know there's a lot of people that do like Bo for that reason because he's just goofy, but it's not my cup of tea, unfortunately. I think MK in general has too much of a serious undertone to fit a character like Bo. I know he's meant to be like a sensei or some shit to Liu Kang.
I think he looks fine though. I don't think
he
he
looks
that
fine.
close.
There's nothing like bad about his design. It's just the concept is just doesn't fit this game. Like where you have people killing each other left, right, and centre. You have a guy that throws up on people. Yay! That's great, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Leatherface was by and away the biggest disappointment for me in this, essentially for the same reason as Paul stated, that I was so cop sure that it was either going to be like Fujin, maybe even Havoc at one point,
Havoc would have been so good.
because of his involvement in the comics. I was so cop sure that it was going to be a character like that, and then we got Leatherface, and everyone that isn't Crazy Fingers just sighed. Like
But they did a good job on him though.
Yeah, the design is fine.
Yeah.
But can you say that you would? Can you say that you would
live
prefer?
in 2017? That you've got to live in 2017. They cannot just produce their own characters, their own lore and stuff when they've got other people involved that they need to collaborate with, and
Of course, yeah. That's
it's not
fine.
just them
that's
anymore.
well and
There's
good.
other people involved, and they have to. They're doing a balancing act, and I think NetherRealm Studios did a fantastic job with the balancing act they were given.
Yeah, that's true, but it still doesn't stop you from being disappointed as a Mortal Kombat fan. As a Mortal Kombat fan, I was bitterly disappointed by Leatherface's inclusion, and I will carry on being bitterly disappointed because all you think is, what if? What if? Like, okay, Leatherface is great. He's a fully fleshed out character. He's got 3 passable variations. All of them are unique. But what about a fully fleshed out Fujin? What about a fully fleshed out Havoc? What about a fully fleshed out Cabal? Scarlet? Maybe, man, maybe. But I'm just saying, for this game, characters like Cabal would have been so much better. We could have got like
Cabal.
Cabal's great, man. There's nothing wrong with Cabal.
I like Cabal.
Just because he looks like spaghetti bolognese, there's nothing wrong with him, right? I'm just trying to think characters that weren't included in MK11 that were... No, sorry, MK9 that were in MK... Sorry, MK10 that were in MK9, fuck. I know what I meant. So the characters that didn't make it... I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Shiva, nah, you're alright. Cabal didn't get in. Technically, Human Smoke. Noob Cybot, man. Come on. You could have had one variation where he uses portal teleportation and stuff like that. You could have had one where he uses like a clone. I know it would have been really grand mastery, but he could have used it in a different way, kind of like a Zod trait, maybe. I don't know. But you could have got 3 variations out of that character. You could have got 3 better variations.
They could have put Jade in. An actual Jade.
No. No.
Not with
That
Mournful,
relevant
man.
ass character.
Not with Mournful. I think Jade was like the least popular
Yeah.
MK11 character. Well, MK9
Yeah,
character.
but all I'm saying is you're always going to disappoint somebody when they've only got a certain amount of character allocation, and this is what goes back to what my comment on the Combat Pack 2 was, is I feel like Bo Rai Cho could have been a different character, and I think it would appeal to more people. If Bo Rai Cho was Noob Cybot, do you think you'd have had a disappointing Combat 2? Or do you think you'd have gone, wasn't too keen on the guest characters, but Noob Cybot?
But put it this way, right? Put it this way. If NR... Okay, let me theorise something to you. If in their marketing of Combat Pack 2, NRS turned around and said, 2 new guest characters and 2 returns up for something that was never going to be fulfilled, they wouldn't have been setting us up for 3 returning MK characters and 1 guest, because we thought that 3 guests was too many, right? So
yeah, but
as
the
a
last combat pack had 2 guests.
yeah, that's fine.
This one had 2 guests.
How many were in MK9?
1.
Exactly, 1. In one in one quote unquote combat pack, right? So there was 3 MK characters and 1.
Again, I obviously don't know the history of NetherRealm Studios, but I do think they have been influenced by certain people to include these characters, and I do not think they would be as happy. I think NetherRealm would have much rather have had 4 of their own MK characters in than any guest. That's my opinion.
But I'm not complaining about Jason or Predator. They were great, but they weren't advertised as MK characters. They were advertised as guests.
Yeah.
When you leave it up to speculation, you set yourself up for disappointment. If they'd have just come out and said they're guest characters, people wouldn't have given a shit because they would have known what they were getting, basically.
I just think it just depends on the guest characters, as you said.
True. Yeah, true enough. I mean,
nobody's going to be moaning when Spawn hits Injustice 2, if it ever does. I don't think anybody moaning if Neo hit Injustice 2, which there's been a lot of hype for that today. But that's what I mean. That's the cool thing. But I feel like not only did they get the guest character wrong in Leatherface, they also got Bo Raicho wrong on the MK side as well. And that's just my opinion. Obviously, a lot of people will be chuffed to bits with Bo Raicho, and that's fine. But for me, I'd have much rather have had Fujin Rain, Scarlet, you know, just a return. Even Striker, as was put in chat, you know, he's crap, but you know, you're gonna at least hit more people with an MK character in an MK game than you are with a guest character.
Yeah, by and large. Well, I mean, I'll just cover Alien so your dad can talk about what he thinks about KP2. I thought Alien, again, was, I wouldn't say an uninspired choice, because I think it's a very unique thing to do in an NRS game, actually. He's the only quadrupedal character that they've ever released. Maybe aside from Moloch.
Motaro?
But Motaro was actually only a centaur, only bipedal in the games that you could play as him.
Interesting.
So he's Alien in technicality, maybe Moloch aside, is the first naturally quadrupedal character that they've ever made playable.
Interesting.
So I think in that way, he's a very interesting character. But do I think that he fits this game? No. I think it was a risk on NRS's part. Pandered to the fans of that series, and I think again, people influenced from outside, but I don't think it's it doesn't cross my bases at all. That's why I was so disappointed in KP2. But I guess you gotta do what you gotta do to sell games, man. That's it. That's what I think.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt this. I've got to go. But there's some Twitter beef at the moment, and it's amazing. Young Monster just told Tweedy to pay for some weight loss classes or gym memberships, not majors. And it's just all hitting the fan. Holy cow.
See, I hate when people do that. Like, people take jabs at you as a person or jabs at your weight because they have no argument. It's ridiculous. Young Monster's got less credibility than Tweedy does, so you can shut the fuck up.
Oh, it's amazing. But Tweedy's been calling out Honeybee, saying that he's better than Honeybee and he'd mop him and he's had better results on MK. It's brilliant. This is popcorn stuff. I've got to go, guys. I've got to go out, but it's been nice having a chat with you guys, and good luck with the rest of the casting. So take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's cool. Man. See you later.
Right,
I'll go Combat Pack 2. I'll go into the character and the frame side of it in a lot more detail with the next one, especially Baraicho. First of all, looking at the scene, Leatherface, can't stand him. Absolutely can't stand him. I think his design is horrible. Brutal's cool. It just doesn't do anything for me at all. I don't mind horror characters being in the game, but I just think Leatherface is a waste of a spot. So I thought that was quite underwhelming. to be honest. Again, it was like when I was watching the KP trailer, like ketchup and mustard. It was like I saw Leatherface and it was like, oh, that's a thing. Okay, interesting. All right, and then it just doesn't really do much for me. Alien, I was actually incredibly excited for. I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and of course when it was revealed that Alien had a variation, you know, Tarkatan that played like Baraka, or supposedly played like Baraka. I was fully intending on that being my main. Then I got the character into the lab and went, no, this is absolute nonsense, I'm not touching that with a bird's pool. Which maybe I should have done actually, but I was like, no, this is Rago crap, I'm not having this. But I think Alien does look pretty cool. I guess it plays almost as if the Xenomorph would. Conjurer especially, you know, with the face hugger, looks really cool, which I like. Triborg, I think, has probably been one of the biggest success stories of MKX, especially the variation system. It just looks cool, you know, the neutral grey coloured robot, and then, you know, the variation almost acting like, well, 4 different personalities with Sector, Cyber Sub, Smoking Cyrax. So I think Triborg is really cool, you know, very, very well received, very popular. I think Triborg we could agree is really cool, and I think looking at the way they implemented his variation system might be something they could look at going forward into another MK game, but that might be another discussion for another time. Bo, I mean, personally I love the character. You know, I didn't have a main going into MKX. I played Reptile but didn't really like him, and as soon as I got with Bo, and you know, as you guys know, I don't really care about tiers. You know, I'll pick a character that's fun, and if it's a character I like, then I'll play them. And the first variation I got a hold of with Drunken Master, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And you know, even though he has his issues, which I will go into in great detail another time, don't you worry. I was like, yeah, do you know what, this is actually, I like playing this. And Dragon's Breath, I think, is just absolutely retarded, especially in the corner. It's just absolutely fucking brain dead. It's not even funny, but you know, he is really cool. And I think Combat Pack 2 was alright. Leatherface was crap, but the other 3 I thought were cool. And the horror thing I understand, you know, NRS, let's be serious here, isn't its own entity. It's you know, funded by Warner Brothers. They are answering to, again, let's be honest, a much higher power than they'll ever be.
Yeah.
And do you know what? And you know, sometimes you need to do business, and I get it. You know, and I think in the case of Jason and Predator, the horror guys were pretty successful in their own right, I think. And even their designs, I mean, apart from Leatherface, I don't really touch. I think the way they've designed the fighting style of Jason, Predator, and Alien, almost as if feels like you would be fighting that character. You know, Jason's just a brick wall that can be so hard to kill, and isn't that what Jason's like in the films? And you know, Predator's just this ruthless thing that just goes in and tries to kill you and just fights like a maniac, and that's sort of what Predator's like in MK.
I think that's what Leatherface lacks as a character, you know. It's really interesting. I was just listening to you talking there, like, kind of in the background, sorry, but I think that's what Leatherface lacks. He hasn't got an identity.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like anything when you play as him. He just feels like some random dude with a chainsaw that I can't get behind it at all. That's why I think I don't enjoy him. He doesn't have his own unique play style. He doesn't feel good to play to me at all.
No.
I think that's a really interesting thing that you said there. That was like the way that you described that.
That's what I need to credit him with Jason, because I think on paper and looking at him, Jason is so unoriginal. Yeah, it's Jason. Do you know what I mean? That's what Jason would be like in a fighting game. And they got the idea and theory on paper into the game perfectly. You know, but disregarding frames or anything like that. You know, the big brutal character with the amazing walk speed that just keeps coming. You know, the big grabs, the chokes, the big heavy hitting punches and kicks. And then I look at Leatherface and I'm like, alright, okay, what are you meant to be? But you know what it is, and you can't get them all right, I think, but hey, well, that's just my opinion. We'll move on. I was going to say the next topic Reagan has got down here is Evo 2016, but we'll cover Evo 2016 and 2016 as a competitive year.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing we did for 2015. I think that sounded like a good format. So we talk about Evo and then the year.
Evo 2016. Wow, would be, apart from the kind of whole 2 out of 3 stuff, which sucked, in the organisation behind it, where everyone was shoved into a warehouse with chairs. I think in terms of games, actual gameplay, there was a lot of good quality on display. There was several fantastic stories that were told, the main one being Tekken Master.
Oh yeah.
Getting to second place and resetting the bracket against the unbeatable Sonic Fox and
oh yeah, the literally unstoppable Sonic Fox.
But looking at the guys that Tekken Master got to beat there: Slayer, Raptor,
Scar,
Michelangelo, Wound Cowboy, Scar.
He beat Scar. Yeah.
Taking a set, taking a first to 3 over Sonic, that was a hell of a tournament for him. And I think it really captivated everyone's imagination, so to speak. Where
I hate to say this, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think. The overall look, the overall feel, the overall presentation, the way that the tournament was handled and organised and shown, overshadowed the gameplay. Again, this is me playing hella devil's advocate, and
no, I would actually agree.
A lot of people won't agree though. A lot of people just like, oh, it's Evo, man, shut the fuck up, it's the best tournament in the world.
No, I would agree. Apart from the actual gameplay. After speaking to
people that were there, after speaking to Foxy and other people that went, Tekken Master, after speaking to like the American guys that were there, it's now a consensus that Evo 2016 was one of the worst years for NRS games, maybe aside from the first year of Injustice, because that was a pretty crap year with all the Supermans flying around. But I mean, in general, it was a pretty crap year for NRS. It was a great year for fighting games. I think games like KI did a great job. Games like Pokken did a great job. Marvel was still Marvel. Street Fighter was immense. But for NRS, yeah, you had the Tekken Master Fairy Tail and the Grand Finals was pretty hype, but it was a pretty disappointing tournament, if I'm being completely honest. The general gameplay was really good at Evo, but was it Evo 2015 jump up in scale magnificent? No, it wasn't. Did we see people like Foxy take the tournament by storm? Not really. There was Tekken Master, but everyone else was kind of expected, really dry. There was no milky situations, no Zyfoxes. I just think it was really disappointing, man. Like,
yeah.
You can agree, disagree, you guys can talk about it, but that's the way that I feel, at least, that Evo 2016 was the most disappointing tournament in MKX's life.
Yeah, I don't think, like, the hat coming off was, like, anything amazing. Like, yeah, he's, getting in the zone as if he's not already been in the zone when he was playing in the first place anyway. Like, the one highlight I can think of from that tournament is Ketchup screaming in commentary when Michelangelo did Skydrop and he got hit out of it, I think it was.
Yep,
yeah,
you're right.
That was my one memory from that tournament.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
I think apart from, as you said, apart from the actual organisation, I think it's to the credit of the guys that were there in the NRS scene that they really did try and make the best of it. Because there was still some hype, as you say, some hype with the commentary. I thought everyone that commentated, You know, apart from maybe the two that were chosen for the grand finals, but that's another matter. You know, ketchup and mustard were really hype during the pools. Katana Prime was pretty hype. Chef was pretty hype. Ultra David did well in the pools. Some of the games were excellent. You know, when Michelangelo beat Scar in a 7-3 matchup, heavily in Scar's favour, with Skydrop, EX Skydrop no less, you know, tech roll into EX Skydrop won the match. The place went absolutely mental.
Yeah.
Big D teabagging Forever King. When he did Ermac against Alien, you know, he did the levitate, and then instead of just going in and finishing the job, he just teabagged them, and then that ended the round or the match, which was really fun. Sonic, of course, winning again, but you know, a lot of people expected that, I guess. But Cowboy getting his Evo medal for MKX, and some really good shin-up play was fun. Dragon finally beating Foxy. I think that was the first time they beat him.
Yeah,
in tournament.
That.
Yeah,
No.
so that was a decent storyline as well.
No, wait.
Well, actually, no.
No, KIT.
It's the first time that no, it's not the first time that Foxy's lost his Shinnok, at least.
I thought it was the first time Dragon had ever beaten Foxy offline. Was it Evil? Was it no?
Can I say I'm just gonna look at KIT results because I'm pretty sure I
Because I
haven't
know
played
V-Man beat him, but I thought Dragon was the other one who beat him.
Did Foxy not teabag Dragon at KIT? And beat him?
Let me
I don't
think.
remember. But anyway, carry on with what you were saying. Go on.
But I think the way the scene kind of handled it, and I think the actual games and display and the storylines were awesome. But you know, from what I hear about the organisation, was absolutely deplorable. It was ridiculous.
Also, can I just jump in for a second?
What?
I was just going to say, like, it actually isn't the first time that Foxy lost to Dragon. Dragon beat Foxy at KIT back when he played Kobo Jutsu.
Right, the second time. My apologies.
Yeah. 3-2 though.
So Dragon beating Foxy, him winning the Evo medal, Big D winning the Evo medal. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, we had a lot of varied characters. You know, the likes of Takeda's, we had Shinnok, Devora, we did an Alien, Koto showed up. You know, we got Blood God in Grand Finals, which is amazing. Yeah, but other than that, I think, what did you guys think about the competitive scene in 2016 as a whole?
In 2016, I actually think it was much improved on 2015. There were more new faces. I think we got to see the evolution of people a lot better in 2016. Your Scars, your Dragons, your like Michelangelo and Yomi were doing really well and stuff like that. I really loved watching Michelangelo play. I thought his Quan Chi was ridiculous. Illusions, Raptor, all these characters kind of came to the frame in 2016. They weren't really there in 2015. But yeah, I thought these guys did really well. And you also have this kind of new age of people that come through in MKX, thanks to certain tournaments, so like Star Charger, Ominous, all these kind of guys that come through from those kind of tournaments. So I think the level of play has been really, really good, actually. If I had to pick a singular moment from 2016,
yeah, let's do that.
I'd have to think about it.
Favourite moment for 2016. Pick a favourite moment and a favourite set, because the two of them could be different.
Alright. Favourite moment from 2016.
For MKX.
I could give you a favourite set right now, but favourite moment would have to wait. I think we'll do favourite set and then favourite moment. So my favourite set was ESL Season 3 Finals, and it would be Foxy against Sonic Fox. I think it's the best I've seen Foxy play in the entirety of MK's life.
Foxy against whom, sorry?
Sonic Fox.
Sonic Fox, right, okay.
Finals, Season 3 Finals. Foxy may not agree with me when I say this, but I think it's the best he's played in MK's life. He had to play against a first to three, no less, with Sonic Fox's acidic, which was absolutely piss stomping everything in its path. Won him Evo. You know, the character was ridiculous, and Sonic Fox understood the character to a T. And for Foxy to take that set so close, I think not only solidifies him in like Foxy is like, I wouldn't say he's like, he inspires me quite a lot to get better at this game, well, to get better at fighting games, because I watch the way he plays and he's just amazing. But to me, that signified and that solidified him as the second best player in the world, easy. After a lot of doubt, after SCI he didn't win anything in America, but ESL season 3, sorry, he really came back with a bang, regardless of if he lost a set or not. He played amazing, and I really enjoyed watching it. It was one of my most favourite sets to watch, and that was my set of 2016 personally. I don't know about you guys.
Paul, do you want to? Have you got a favourite set of 2016?
Favourite set of 2016? Jeez, I didn't even think about all the fucking. I'm just thinking, I can't remember if this was 2015 or 2016, but one of the moments that sticks out in my head, one of the hype moments, was Cowboy versus Forever King Jr. Cowboy was playing Imposter Shinrock.
Oh, that was
King
2015.
Jr.
The double armor.
2015, yeah. But yeah, that was one of my favourite moments of anything.
It was NEC, was it? TCW?
No, CEO. That was CEO. Yeah. CEO 2015, I think, yeah. Yeah, I'm watching it right now, yeah. It was 2015. What else? God, 2016. God, I've got a shit memory for this kind of thing. Best moment of 2016, shit. Maybe... Fuck. Maybe, I don't know, an underdog winning something. I'm just trying to think.
Actually,
2016.
One of my favourite moments of the 2016 was Foxy winning his first versus fight ever.
Yeah, there you go.
It's an interesting point to make, actually, that Foxy had never won a versus fight before 2016. In any game, actually. So
that's right.
I'd made
he lost
3
to
finals in a row.
didn't he?
I lost to Glue first, then I lost to Mads, and then
Yeah.
the third time was a Cherub. If I remember right.
yeah, you're right. The Madzin, I think the Madzin versus Foxy versus fighting set is worth talking about as the best moment of 2015.
The 6
Being there, man. Being there. That was my first tournament, right? So here's like 17-year-old Regan, who's literally just turned 17, right, going to his first tournament for MK, just because he got told to go because some really good players would be there. I didn't understand like the magnitude of it at all. And then I got 9th, right? So I did okay for myself. I didn't play bad. But then I sat down in this auditorium. It was massive. They did it at I forgot what the place is called actually. It's in the middle of Birmingham. I know it really well. But it's just around the corner from this year's venue. Well, last year's venue. And it was they did this like massive cinema thing out because it was like a studio, right? And then seeing Madzu versus Foxy for me was the moment where I was like, yeah, I want to do this more. It really was amazing. I promise you, there's nothing like it.
Interesting.
But, yeah, that's my moment of 2015. 2016, the alien nerf was my moment of 2016.
Here's another moment was I believe his name is Itazan Warrior or something like that. And it was it Midwest Championships? And he was playing against Star Charger. It was Sonya versus Katana, and I remember Itazan Warrior turning towards Star Charger, getting him to look at him, and then wagging his finger at him. I was like, "No, you're not doing that." I remember the commentators getting over that. That moment was great. That was so good. You could just see like him getting so triggered by that. It was hilarious. I loved that. That's another moment. Another favourite moment of mine. But
Your
I think
dad, do you have one?
Favourite set? The MKX European Cup. DreamHack in Sweden. It was Nivek against Mr. Aquari.
Alright.
And this was pre-patch Demo Sonya, who was intriguing, for want of a better word. And Nivek pulled out his absolutely, I'm sorry Nivek if you do ever hear this, and I know I'm a random and I probably shouldn't ever have the right to comment, his disgustingly shit alien. and he pulled out his pre-patch acidic alien, and Aquari absolutely annihilated him over 2 games. I mean, ripped him from limb to limb. And then
I think I've got it. I think I've found out what it is. No, I think I found out moment of 2016.
Yeah,
for me.
And K&M were on commentary going, what the hell's he going to do? He's a
Yeah, I
Raiden.
remember that.
He's a Raiden player.
Yeah.
He plays, and he switched to Thunder God Raiden. Now pre-patch Thunder God Raiden wasn't he the best? He wasn't terrible. He wasn't top tier, but he just wasn't compared to Demo Sonya or Alien. It was nothing. And he ran it back 3-2, and the place went absolutely mental. Because like, that shouldn't work. And I remember those two were just screaming, "He's a Raiden player! Play Raiden! Just what you doing?" And it was really hyped to watch. Moment of
I don't know if you guys
2016.
remember. This is. I can't believe I forgot about this. Kiltron versus Viking.
Actually,
Oh, yeah.
that might
Yeah.
be. That might be one of mine. It was quite funny though, because I think everyone thought that Kiltron was a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And then it
everyone
turned out it was
spamming in the
actually a
chat.
17,
Everyone
18-year-old man.
Everyone was spamming in the chat, murder, death, kill. It was so sick. It was so godlike. That's
that
my
was one
moment
of the
of
best.
2016.
Yeah, that was one of the best for sure, yeah.
Kiltron and Viking, sorry, was pretty cool. Tekken Master resetting the bracket. I think, yeah, we have to. You know, the hat coming off, although it has been made pretty much into a meme, was quite cool. You know, Tekken Master with a big grin in his face, like, oh, what am I meant to do now? That was pretty cool, I guess, you know. I think Evo's top 8 was pretty hyped, I would say that. That kind of counted. Other than that, my other kind of bonus favourite set, I would say, would be Foxy and Hey George.
Yeah, that's...
Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that
was a
coming.
good set.
Aye.
I was watching the Kiltron versus Viking set once more, and there was a point where it's 1-1, and it's the first round of the 3rd game, and Viking can chip out Kiltron, like, but he gets him with a weird knockdown, and he tries to jump on him, and the knee just boom right in fucking Hellfire Scorpion's face, and it's so much justice.
Aye. What I will say about that, and I know it might not be the most popular opinion among some of you, but I think with Pig at a Hut in commentary, and this isn't a compliment to Pig directly, shows the difference a hype commentator can make to a situation. And I think we're really lucky for that in MK, where we've got a lot of hype commentators. And
yeah, we've got good commentators. We've got Ketchup Mustard. I mean, just look at the people who've like commentated majors, like
Echo.
EU and NA. Alright, fuck off, calm down. Do you know I hate him, or is it like? I don't hate him. He's a really cool guy, actually. I really like Echo.
But no, K&M, KP, Aquaman, I think is really good.
Yeah, Aquaman's great.
Michelangelo
does a good job.
seems really genuine. I've never met him, but he seems like he's always having a good time. The 2 ESL guys, Chef and Godspeed, are really good, I think. Who else is there? I don't know who else is sort of designated to it. If I was going to say Devil May Spy, no, he's crap. Never mind.
There's me, mate, Kappa.
Alright, I'm back.
Right, Paul, what's your setting moment of 2016? Hit us with it.
Well, we just talked about it.
Oh, is yours Viking as well?
Well, Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go with that, because I'm not good at remembering this kind of shit, so I'll go with that. But being at KIT and watching Scar versus V-Man live was also pretty ridiculous. There's a picture out there on Facebook somewhere, I think, where you can see everybody crowded round the setup watching as obviously V-Man, who'd been in a tear all day, was still playing Lasher, and you know, so he had to face Scar to, I can't remember if it was like top 16 or top 8 or something like that, but Scar started off with demo, he got to 2-2 and he pulled out Special Forces and won. And I'm sitting here like popping off to myself like, yeah, Special Forces, like, yeah, you don't know, you're going to see how good this shit is. And then he comes out and wins with it, and I was talking to him after, like, introduced myself, I was like, oh right, yeah, here. And we were talking about Special Forces, and DJT and MIT were just like, nah, that's a gimmick variation, it's not like, it's just a gimmick, it's not real. I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. It was it was cool to watch that set live, because it wasn't streamed, so people like only managed to like record it on their phone and stuff, but it was crowded around that set. I had to stand in a chair just to see like the top half of the screen. It was a really, really ridiculous set as well. So that would probably be one for me as well.
So we'll move on. So I think the kind of most appropriate topic to talk about now that we've talked about the competitive scene, so this sort of ties in. So October 4th was the day of the last patch. I think, despite the optimism of many, I hope I'm not going to eat my words. I do believe this is the final version of the game. I don't believe, again, for better or for worse, that can be anyone's opinion. I don't know about you guys, but how do you feel about, with MKX ending, how do you feel about this being the final version of the game? What do you think?
I actually think MK is in a really nice place at the moment. I don't think there's a character or characters that are ridiculously powerful. The game's relatively healthy. I know we kind of skipped over this as a subject, but the netcode's good.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about it now, actually. The netcode being really good, and the GGPO beta introduction was done really nicely. I mean, there's not really much to say about it, because we know it's an improvement on the game. We don't need to talk about how it's helped the game, and how it's going to help Injustice 2. It's going to be kind of obvious in a couple of weeks' time when that game comes out, and we can play with Americans and people across the world. Like, how blessed that is. But I think, in terms of just general gameplay and stuff like that, the game is in a really nice place. I think it's definitely the most healthy the game's been ever. Probably the healthiest an NRS game will be at the end of its life cycle, if I'm being completely honest. Because Injustice 2 we can be optimistic about, but if Injustice 1 and MK9 are anything to go off of, there's still a bit of a blemish on the track record like of NRS in general. Even with this game, we have to take things with a pinch of salt, especially with a new game coming out. So this is the healthiest an NRS game has been ever, in my opinion. At least from a competitive standpoint, every character can play the game, maybe aside from like a couple of variations of the bad characters, like Butcher, Leatherface, and like Drunken Master Bo, stuff like that. Cyber Sub really struggles as well. But other than that, the game's in a nice place. I'd say the mid-tiers all compete. Like, you could win a tournament with a mid-tier. You don't have to play Sector or Smoke. You could win put it this way, do you think you could win a tournament with, like, I don't know, Unstoppable Jason?
Unstoppable's not mid-tier. Get out of here.
Unstoppable is mid-tier. Unstoppable is mid-high. Unstoppable is mid-high.
Unstoppable is not a mid-high variation.
Do you not think...
Fuck out of here with that crap.
Do you think Unstoppable is better than Relentless?
Yes?
Yeah?
No, it's not! Fuck
What are you
off!
talking about?
That's not even a debate.
That is ridiculous. Unstoppable.
Wait, which one's the one that comes back to life? Is that Unstoppable?
Unstoppable, yeah.
Aye. Unstoppable's the one that breaks every armour in the game for nothing.
Oh shit, no, that's not mid-tier, I'm relentless!
That's fucking top tier!
I'm a damn player! I'm a damn player!
Oh my god. No. Okay, right.
Unstoppable's not mid-tier, I'm not relentless.
Aye,
Okay,
Unstoppable is a monster.
Don't slaughter me! Don't at me for that, that was a mistake. Relentless is
I
mid-tier.
nearly blew out my
Alright.
chair there,
okay.
man. Unstoppable isn't mid-high, so you're right, he's fucking top.
Jesus. No, okay. Relentless is upper mid simply because Jason has overall
A
solid,
good base
really
tool
solid
set,
tools,
yeah. I'd say, I personally think
Yeah.
Relentless is upper
Relentless is
mid.
nothing
But you could win
yeah.
a tournament with Relentless Jason, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know, like, Relentless has is a bit tougher matchups, like, 'cause for most of the match he isn't going to have the same damage output as the opponent. It's only when he gets the lower health that he really comes into, like, really good damage, and you have to be aware what you're doing, you have to kill him as soon as possible. I don't think you can win a major with him, but he is really, really decent, like, I mean, there's just
You could
some
do well
times
with
he-
him.
I can't believe I just said Unstoppable is mid-tier. Oh my god. Character's
Oh, God.
fucking retarded, man.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
I get your point with Relentless, though. You could... If you mained Relentless Jason, there's no reason why, if you were a good player and you knew what you were talking about, there's no reason why you couldn't do well. Yeah, I would say I would agree with that, with Relentless. Yeah.
Anyway,
I
carrying on my
I
point.
do not agree about Unstoppable being mid-high tier.
Yeah, neither do I.
But bloody hell. Paul, what do you
Aye,
think about the state of the game? Your final
Go on.
stage of the game, you know, in theory it could be going back into the box, never to be seen again. What do you think?
What do I think of MKX in its current state?
What do you think? Now the game's coming to a close, you know, we've had the last patch. You know, the pot bonuses they're still going strong, but they're not as big as they were. What do you think?
Right, this is going to be a controversial opinion, but I personally believe that the game was better before the last patch. This current meta, in my opinion, is slightly worse because it nerfed defensive options in a way. Now, in saying that, what I'm about to say people are probably not going to agree with me with, and I can understand that, but this is just how I see the current meta right now. Before, I mean, maybe I'm slightly biased because I fight someone that plays Spectral every week, and a lot of the tools that help you deal with Spectral were nerfed in the last patch, like armoured launchers. So it means that a lot of the variations that I used before, a lot of the characters that I could use before and still be able to handle Spectral with, because I had defensive options, because I had good ways of dealing with this ridiculous offense, a lot of those variations got nerfed simply because of the way they adjusted specials in the last patch and how the meta developed in the last patch. So it means that I've went from having like a good spread of variations, even variations like balanced. I wasn't afraid to use balanced against Spectral. I mean, that kind of thing was unthinkable at one point, but now I could never use like I wouldn't try it now because it just doesn't have the same get off me moves as our most variations don't anymore. And I actually feel that they made more variations unviable than they did viable in this pack. I think, like, yes, Unbreakable was like really bad before and didn't have a definition or particularly amazing offense or anything like that, and it found something with this last pack. But you have to look at variations like Outlaw, variations like Lackey, variations that were nerfed unnecessarily. Outlaw wasn't, it didn't need nerf. Lackey didn't need nerf. The thing is, they nerfed a meta without compensating characters that required tools from that previous meta. And yeah, it's going to throw a lot off. When you make a major mechanical change like that, I guess you can't always expect what's going to come from it, but some of the things that happened as a result just, I don't know, I didn't like them. Because the way I was seeing armoured launchers, I guess, was a bit different from how other people did. A lot of people thought they were offensive tools. They felt they were more offensive and like, I can just interrupt the gap and suddenly it's my turn. I can, if someone's zoning, I can just armoured launcher through it and get a full combo. Like, people were seeing the offensive side of it, whereas I was seeing the defensive side of it. I was seeing as, block breakers weren't a particularly usable mechanic, because it cost 2 bars, it cost all your stamina, it was just a lot of resources for something to reset neutral. Because back in Injustice, it was only 1 bar, there was no stamina either, it was 1 bar and you were back to neutral, and that was fine, that was balanced, that was a good, well-designed mechanic. But in Injustice 2, in Mortal Kombat X, block breakers just aren't particularly viable. There's a very rare situation where you'd actually not only get to use them, but would use them in the first place. So, because defensive options in MKXL weren't exactly amazing, and offense was really strong, the more defensive options you had, the better. And I saw armoured launchers as a good defensive option, because it was a way to get people off you. If they were willing to throw out offense at you with gaps, you could interrupt it with an armoured launcher, and then it became your turn. It was a switch in momentum. It meant people had to think about their offense. They didn't just get to do stuff for free. But now they kind of do get to do stuff for free, because there's less armoured launchers in the game. There's very few armoured launchers left now. And it means that characters can just go ham and they've got less to worry about. Like, if they use an armor move, okay, we did a bit of damage, we're back at neutral now. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to get full comboed for doing offense with gaps in it. So that benefited variations like Possessed, who we saw jump up in tier, or at least in exploration, and Spectral, who has seen vast just under exploration. There's still clearly a lack of knowledge somewhere in the community. It's just it confuses me how people see, like, they saw Possessed, but they couldn't see how Spectral got buffed from this last change to the meta and the mechanics. But like I said, maybe I'm just biased because I play a Spectral every week, and having less options to deal with that makes Spectral a lot more difficult to deal with as a variation in this meta. But I didn't like what they did mechanically the last patch, although there was some things that nerfed offense that I did like, like the stamina changes. You know, you can't do as many stamina loops anymore, and you can't just run as much anymore either. So those were welcome changes. What else? Alien, like, of course he did need to get nerfed, but like I said before, it could have been done better, because I feel he's slightly over nerfed now. And I know that's probably going to sound like really bad, because Alien was so strong, how could you possibly say he was over nerfed? His nerf was fine, any nerf is good, but no, I think they could have left him in a good position without putting him in a position where, like, variations like a cat and are ridiculously unsafe now if you commit to any specials. What else? I mean, in saying that, I don't think the game is terrible now. I don't think it's completely imbalanced now. I just think that the variations that did get buffed to a point where they might be more ridiculous than characters last patch were. And this is going to be another controversial opinion. Characters like Ermac, characters like Melina, they might actually have less losing matchups than Alien did pre-patch, and that's saying something. So if that's like the case, then that is the reason that I feel this patch hasn't been as much of a success as I would have liked it to be. That's not to say I hate everything about it, it's not to say that the game's imbalanced and I hate it and I would rather go pre-patch all the time and all that. There are good things about it. It's just there's some things in this that I don't know, I just didn't agree with when they changed it. And I mean, now the game's like this forever, so I mean, I guess you have to deal with it, but I don't know, I would have liked to see something more. There are some variations that need compensation for some of the changes that were made, and we just didn't get it, so now we have variations that just aren't really going to see as much play anymore. What about you guys?
I'm glad they did the last patch.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was, I like the whole idea of the, you know, the kind of, right, we're going to do something and this is us going to kind of maybe see out the end of the game. And I think the last patch, you know, there was a lot of chat that the last patch was needed, and I think the fact that they came through with it was pretty decent. I like the idea that they nerfed armoured launchers, but I don't like the whole one-size-fits-all thing, where they maybe should have been a bit more selective. Like Lackey's armoured launcher, did that need to get touched? No, I don't think so. Their other armoured launchers, like Shinnok's low scoop, should that have been touched? Probably. That's down to opinion, but I think they did okay. You know, I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they, you know, kind of touched up in the game a wee bit. Alien got hit. I would agree with you, Paul. It was maybe hit a bit too hard, especially Tarkatan, that was buried, I think, more or less.
Yeah.
Erin Black, I think, was needlessly hit again. But you know, that a lot of that stuff comes down to personal opinion. In terms of my character, I can touch upon that another time, but I'm relatively happy with the state of the game. I don't really play it that much anymore. If I'm being honest with you, I've mostly been playing Injustice 1 or what do we call it, Mass Effect Andromeda. But every now and again, you know, I will jump on and, you know, I'll just mess about with some characters that I think are fun, and I do enjoy it. You know, I don't tend to find myself wanting to switch the game off when I do play it by any means. So, but yeah, I mean, I like the game as it is, and you know, I'd imagine when Injustice 2 comes out, I will maybe put it on every once in a while, or even at our local poll, somebody might turn around every once in a while and go, do you know what, do you want to fire on MKX for a bit? I wouldn't object to that.
I mean, yeah, like I still play the game. Like Scott comes over and we still play the game and stuff. It's not like I don't enjoy anything of it anymore. There's just bits of it I don't like.
Yeah. But you know, I'm glad the last patch happened. I think it was badly needed. Even if I don't agree with the whole thing fully. But yeah, it was decent, and you know, I think it's seen the game out where I think where if a lot of people, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you ask a lot of people, look, what do you actually think of MKX? I think despite the fact that a lot of people were so vocal about it, would maybe actually turn around and go, do you know what, it maybe wasn't as bad as we shouted on about. Yeah, there was a lot of dumb stuff, but you know, the game was actually pretty fun to an extent, and you know, we got a lot of hype moments, and we'll see what Injustice 2 brings, or you know, wait and see what happens next year with some sort of MK11 announcement. But yeah, I thought MKX was fun personally. I still do think it's fun, even if I don't partake in it as often as I did. But that's just my opinion. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of add something to your list, Reagan. So this could be an interesting topic, maybe as a sort of decent way to round it out. MKX. If you guys could pick one, okay, one thing that you loved about the game, and one thing that you hated about the game. And just one.
One thing I love and one thing I hate.
One thing. And try not to be vague. Like, don't say frame data, because that's just shit. You know what I mean? For fuck's
I didn't
sake.
like frame data. I would
Do you know
have
what
let
I mean?
myself.
I hated framed. Aye, alright, very good. You know what I mean? Like, try and be as specific as what about MKX would you kind of take back and go, do you know what? That was so cool. Even if it's something that they maybe could have done better. And what about it would you take away and go, I hope I don't ever see that again?
The Mortal Kombat part.
The
Kappa. Nothing. Alright.
Reagan, you go first.
One thing that I love about... Okay, I'll do one thing that I hate about the game first, because I'm a negative kind of guy. I love getting my gripes out, I guess. One thing that I hate about the game is the lack of defensive options against a lot of things. Yeah, this is probably me stealing what Paul was going to say, actually. I hate the lack of defensive options in this game. Injustice 2 is not the same. Fortunately, they seem to have learned from their mistakes. You have air escapes, one bar pushback, one bar push block is back. Stuff like that, it helps a lot. You don't realise, but in this game, against characters like Kang, against characters to an extent like Lao, you kind of had to hold it. you just held it, man. Like, deal with it. And that's definitely what I hated. There was no defensive options, even at a cost of a resource. So one bar push block is great because it costs you a resource, but you kind of get to potentially save more resource in the long run. You get to sacrifice bar for HP essentially. I really like that. I think that's a really smart idea. I also, I'll add another thing that I hate, and that it's difficult to punish things with pushback. So, for example, Kotal's back 1-2-2 overhead and low sword is notoriously bad to punish, to the extent where things that should punish it don't. There's a lot of things like that in the game, always has been, probably always will be in games like this, but it's just another thing. If there was one thing that I love, it's definitely the amount of variance in the characters. No two characters play the same. Some have similar game plans, yeah, but the 3 variation system and the amount of differentiation that offers is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and there's some things in this game we'll never explore. We'll never find out. There's things about certain variations I'm sure we'll never understand, and there's probably hidden brutalities and shit that we'll never find out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just the amount that there is amazing. The mind boggles at the amount of potential matchups there are in this game, and I have never seen Conjurer Alien against Mournful Katana. I've never seen Heavy Weapons Jax against Broodmother Devourer. I've never seen like High-Tech Jackie against Marksman Eren, and you'll never see it because it's crazy, and I love that. But yeah, that's just me personally. I don't know about you guys.
Paul,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Oh, you want me to pick one thing I hate about the game?
One thing, because I know you could be here for days. One thing.
Well,
That
I
you
mean,
would change.
Regan already like talked about the weakness of defensive options in this game, and I agree with that. So I will say I hate Ermac.
You would
Yeah,
just
I'm gonna
remove
go with that.
Ermac.
I mean, I don't know about remove him, but redesign him, because, good God, why does this character have to be so 50-50 oriented? It's ridiculous. Like, and for the life of me, I cannot and will not ever understand why his overhead did not get nerfed more. 16 frames. Are you actually fucking joking me? 16 frames. That is not a nerf. That is not a nerf. It's like, oh, now his combos have to change a little bit. Fuck off. That character is ridiculous. And I cannot believe he didn't get nerfed more, because before the patch came out, I said to Nausea, I was like, man, I can't wait for your characters to get nerfed. I can't wait for your characters to get demolished in the patch. Let's see what happens. And then he got buffed. Ermac got buffed. I was so mad. I was so mad. But yeah, a lot of the community don't seem to recognise just how buffed Ermac got from some of these changes. And it baffles me, because now with the game dying out, no one's labbing anymore, no one cares, nobody's going to remember Spectral for being like a top variation, and it's just questionable, but I guess unexpected from some of the community, but whatever. We'll move on to what I do like, and although I do like the variation system, like Regan pointed out already, what else do I like about this game? I like that I'm trying to think, because I'm thinking of things that I did like, and then they got changed in ways that I didn't like, and that's an issue. I'm trying to think of what I do like about the game. I know there is something I like about the game, and I'm trying to think of what it is. And it's probably that for a lab monster like me, it made it gave me a lot to do, because it means, like, the variation system meant that there were basically 100 different characters in the game. A lot of them shared similar movesets, but it meant that there was 100 variations worth of movesets to learn. And, you know, for, like I said, for a lab monster like me, that's great. Like, I love spending time in the lab and practicing and learning and getting good. So it meant that I was given a lot more to have to learn in the lab, a lot more time. I had to spend learning variations, learning how they work, learning their weaknesses, learning their strengths. I liked that. I liked that the variation system allowed me to have a lot more to explore, and it means that there's more of a chance that I could learn a character that, or variation I should say, that a lot of people might not know, and I could get to show off that variation, for example, in tournaments, or if I brought it out against someone, they don't know the variation. It's like it allows me to blow up people that don't know matchups. Like I can show that people haven't labbed enough in some way, and that's interesting because it just shows the importance of learning characters, like having good character knowledge on top of having good fundamentals and good player knowledge as well. Yeah, I guess I like that the variation system allowed me to have to lab a lot more.
I'm going to go 3 for 3. The one thing I actually do love about the game is, again, the variation system. I think, looking back on it, I think 3 variations were maybe too much. I would say as a potential change for MK11 is maybe cut it down to 2, but that's neither here nor there. But I like that they presented characters in different ways and gave you something to think about with characters. I think one case in point would be Takeda, who I think the variation system really benefits. I think Ronin seems really interesting, a really cool character. The lightsabers, of course, we've got a lot of people hype. The Harty blockables are Shirai Ryu and the 50-50 Heaven for last year. So I think Takeda has something that, if you were a Takeda loyalist, he could keep you entertained for so long. Triborg, I think, is another case in point, where if you decide you're exclusively going to play Triborg, but play all variations, there's something there with all 4 that could keep you going for so long. In my case, although he's not very good, Boraicho, the 3 variations, although I don't really use Bertitsu as much, you know, the 3 variations kept me entertained for quite some time, and, you know, finding out different setups and different things that the characters can do, what he can't do. You know, the whole labbing idea, as you said, Youth, where, you know, just a slight move, do you know what I mean, just a slight move with your D-pad could result in a totally different change in philosophy with a character and a totally different attitude in how you want to approach a game, which I think is awesome. In terms of what I hate, the run button would be mine.
That's a good shout.
I think a lot of the issues within the game, offensively, could all be dialed down to the run button.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the stamina nerf happened. That is a one size fits all nerf, which I think was absolutely spot on. You know, they commit to the run button, that's absolutely fine. I would have lost respect for them if they had removed the run feature completely in the last patch, but they hit it, which I think, yeah, do you know what, you're trying to normalise it rather than just go, look, do you know what, this is balls. But I hate it. I absolutely hate it. You know, I mean, you guys know as well, being prior to Combat Pack 2, or even now, do you know what I mean, when you were up against Dragonfire Kang, and you're sitting there going, when do I press a button? When do I actually get to play the game? Or maybe I get to play, oh no, wait, I don't. Alright, oh here, I've got a window now, oh no, wait, I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And to me, that wasn't fun. That's not fun at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can lab it all you want, but do you know what? When something's plus, it's plus. Fact. Do you know what? And I think labbing those kind of things at the start made you actually realise this is just retarded. What the hell is going on here? And yeah, you had options, but that for me would be the one thing I hate about the game, where everything was kind of boiled down to the run feature, and namely how dominant that was. And you know, to a certain extent, still is not as dominant, but characters like Hellfire Scorpion, you know, just running in and mashing everything for days, and then yeah. But again, that's my opinion. I think the run feature is something that maybe has to go, or has to be seriously thought about before another MK game. And it's one of the reasons why I'm mainly looking forward to Injustice, because I don't have to deal with someone running in from full screen and just whacking me with a full screen normal or a 50-50 just out of nowhere, which I think is the dumbest shit known to man. But there you go. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I hate the run button with a passion.
Yeah.
Maybe my character can't run, so that might be. But
run button's pretty silly, man.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to add to the list of things that we fucking hate, because this is going to be a pretty big list. I mean,
Yeah.
People in general do tend to focus on the negatives more than the positives. It's just the way life is, but one thing that I really hate is normals and moves in this game without physical hurt boxes. Takeda, you're the
Devora.
most guilty motherfucker. Devora, to an extent, I guess, Ninjutsu Scorpion, War God, Bone Shaper, Predator, Alien, at least pre-patch. Yeah, they're all guilty of that. I mean, it's been a pretty big blight of MKX, at least, that these moves exist. They're really not fun to deal with because you can't stick out a button and stop them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them so annoying, like Melina's back one too. Yeah, I really hate them. I really do. I hate them with a fucking passion. Because they're so hard to counterplay. Lau's back two and jumping as well. Just as a little shout out to that. But yeah, I just wanted to add that on because I think it's worth talking about on lists of things that really don't benefit the game at all. Another thing is almost fully invincible NJPs because of the range that they have. Again, shout out to Takeda, Raiden, Smoke, and Sector, Predator. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Oh, Ninjutsu Scorpion as well. But yeah,
I think that the best way to kind of sum this up. So if we I think it's probably about the stage where we're kind of wrapping up, and I think the best way I would try and wrap it up is, one last kind of, maybe not discussion point, but an opinion piece from the three of us is, if you had to mark MKX out of 10, just a straight up mark, what would you give it? So just it doesn't need to be a big shotgun piece, just have a decent think about it and go, this is how I would grade the game out of 10. 1 being the worst, or 0 being the worst, sorry, 10 being the best.
alright.
And take, again, your personal experience with the game. What do you think?
For God's sake, this is hard. This is like the hardest thing that I've had to think about all night.
See, it's a good way to end it though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good way to, out of 10 boys. What do you think?
Alright, I'll go first. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Oh, for fuck's... These halves already. Right. Okay, I'll go with it.
Alright, I'll give it a 7. Give it a 7. I'll stop being pedantic. If I could give it a 6.5, I would. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
And the reason I'll give it a 7 is for a few reasons. The negative 3 points are me as a competitive player. So I would take away a point for every character that has been bullshit in this game. No, I'm joking. Cause
You play Possessed.
Yeah, fuck off. You played Bo Raicho, mate. Top 5. Anyway, no, the reason I'm going to take away 3 points for the following 3 reasons. I'd say a point for each one of these. Netcode pre-GGPO loses a point for that, at least. It's pretty self-explanatory. Pretty much fucked the game. I'd say not enough care and time to each variation, and that's going to be a really harsh point to lose because there's so many characters and variations. But if you're going to put 3 variations of a character in the game, care for them all, and don't let characters like I don't know, Julius Liu Kang rot for the entirety of the game. They lose another point for the amount of guest characters. Sorry, it's probably an ass reason. And they lose another point. I know I'll give it a 7, but they gain another point back for something else, and I'll talk about that afterwards. They lose another point for certain character designs and map designs, by the way. So Sky Temple loses them a point. Infrared Scorpion loses them a point. Yeah. But the point that I wanted to give them back to make this a 7, and this is why I was going to put it on a half, because I think the whole GGPO thing and this kind of give it a half back, because I really hated the netcode. But pop bonuses and support gain them a point back, in my opinion. The amount of money that these poor people, these poor game developers have thrown at us as competitive players throughout the life of this tournament, well, the life of this game, sorry, through tournaments, has been ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I can't possibly think of another games company that would do that. Especially when, in essence, they aren't, as you guys say, they're with Warner Bros. As well. They have extra clearance problems to get as well, if they want to support us and stuff like that. I mean, it technically does make funds more accessible, but I think it's amazing. From a competitive standpoint, I couldn't really ask for more from the company, because they've done all that they possibly can. And I know for a fact that they watch tournaments, I know for a fact they look at what's going on, and they really do enjoy the game, and I think that's something that isn't can't be overlooked. But these guys really do enjoy watching us play. They enjoy watching the tournaments that we put on, the shows and the things that we do, the exploits, the hype moments. They love it all, and that gets them at least some credibility back from me. So I think it's a 7 for MKX. Going forward, I think we should probably talk about Injustice 2 as well before the end of this. But what are your guys' scores, ratings?
For MKX?
Yeah.
Oh, if I was to give it in halves, I would say 6.5, just like you.
Oh,
I'm
for
gonna say
God's
7.
sake.
I mean, no, seriously though, that's how I feel as well. Like, I give it a 7 if I'm going in numbers. Main drawbacks to main 10, no Fujin, although I've come to realise that I probably don't want Fujin in a game designed like this. The inclusion of characters like Leatherface and Boraito over more popular characters or MK characters. The run button stamina system just causing a whole lot of problems in general. And I think the last one would be for just Mac as design. Yeah. No, but for I give it a 7. It's just, you know, there are just problems with the game that they just don't make it fun. Some of the problems don't make it fun. Like Pokes having ridiculous hit advantage on characters with 50-50 on the actual 50-50 starters is just bad design. Like they shouldn't have that. They should not be guaranteed a 50-50 after a poke, especially when pokes are that fast and that safe as well. I just think that's a bit much. So yeah, I'd give it a 7. It's not a terrible game, they're just playable, you know, there's a lot of fun matchups, a lot of fun characters, and variations of those characters, but there's just problems with the game that they're just really frustrating. Like jump 3s as well. Some characters' jump 3s are just ridiculous. They should have been much slower than they were. Like some of them are just, they're so fast you can do them instantly. Like you can hit them on the way up with a jump 3. That's too fast. They should not be fast enough you can do that. I mean, maybe Scorpion needs it for his combos, but I mean, it could still have been slowed down, I'm sure. Cause yeah, like a lot of like anti-airs was something that were obviously a problem in Injustice 1, and never got buffed in a subsequent pack. But then coming into MKX, anti-airs turned out to be somewhat of a problem. Again, which, you know, you want NetherRealm to show what they've learned and show that they have learned from the past, but then they release a game where, you know, there are really strong no hitbox jump attacks, or jump attacks with a hitbox much bigger than its hurtbox, so it makes it ridiculously hard or impossible to anti-air. Just, yeah. I don't want to hate it too much, because it's not like I would never play the game again, or, you know, it's just facing Ermac every week it makes you so frustrated with the game, seriously. If had more character variety more often, that'd be great. But like, like yeah, my trading partner plays Mac, and then half of Scotland has at least a pocket Lucan.
Yep.
That would drive you crazy. Like, I'm the only one playing like a bunch of characters, and it's the only way I can make it fun. So, yeah, just some of the patch changes are really fucking weird. Like, I would have liked to have seen more reasoning for it. Like, they did some combat casts where they went over patch changes and described the reasoning for it, but it wasn't particularly in depth. It's just like, oh, you know, tell it should be better or tell it should be worse. It's like, why? Tell us why these changes are happening. What is the original design intent for these moves, and why are you changing them? Why would that make that move fit the original design intent better? I wish there would be more in depth with why they're changing things, and not just changing things for what seems like unknown reasons to us. So yeah, 7 I would give it.
I think 7 I could probably get on board with. I think I would probably say that. I think 7's a good score. You know, it reflects in the game mostly in a positive light, which I think is how I would feel about it. You know, my experience, you know, as a player. And I know everyone is keen to distinguish on the casual and competitive player, but I mean, deep down we are all casual gamers. I mean, this is first and foremost a hobby. And you know, from a competitive aspect, I've enjoyed the game thoroughly as well, so I can't really complain there. Why it isn't a 10 out of 10, you know, the run button, I think the run mechanic is something that needs to be looked at, as I say again, going forward. Other than that, the community, I'm not sure if that's maybe something I would maybe take points off them for. I think the reaction of the community when things come out really get to me. So, for example, I won't go into it majorly, so before Injustice 2 has even come out, before anyone's, or most people rather, have got their hands in the game, people are asking for stuff to be nerfed because it looks broken. It's like, the game's not out, mate, calm down. You know, just actually chill down, lab it and have a look. And I think that's where a problem was, a kind of big problem with MKX for me, was that the community was people actually taking stock of a bad matchup or something that might be a bad matchup and seeing what they could actually do. And in some cases you might actually be pleasantly surprised. And in some cases you might not be. That's the beauty of the game. Yeah, I would say 7 out of 10 for MKX overall. My experience has been mostly positive, for sure.
Yeah. Just to wrap it up, I think this will be the last thing that we say, last thing we talk about, last thing we harp on about before we close. Injustice 2, how hopeful are you? I'll start with you, Paul, seeing as you're probably so hype that MK is dying, right?
Oh wow, come on now, let's not do that kind of crap. I'm not hyped for MK dying. I want it to live. I want MK to live.
Yeah, Paul, you charlatan.
Oh my
you
god.
Fucking contrarian dickhead.
Damn you anti-zoning zealot. I will have your head with projectile.
I'm not an anti-zoning zealot. It just so happens
You're
my
an
character...
anti-zoning zealot, you Boraico playing scum.
Hey, it just so happens that my character doesn't have a projectile and we get mixing for days.
Alright, plebs. Stop this shit.
Right, okay, MKX. No, I'm not hyped for MK dying. I would like MKX to live. I would like MKX to be a great game, but it just has a lot of problems that aren't fixed or won't get fixed, so that's just why I've had my problems with the game. But it's not a terrible game. I wouldn't, like, never play it again. I just have some issues with it. I'm not hyped for MK dying. I would like to see multiple games live just as long as the games are done right. Before Injustice 2, I'm hopeful that, you know, the balance is a bit better, the changes that are made are a bit better with better explanations. Because from what I've heard, they've got this dedicated balance team, quote unquote. So if this is true, hopefully this dedicated balance team gets it right this game round. You know, listen to the community to an extent. You know, if people give reasonings, that's what I'd like to see. A lot of people give patch changes, but they don't give reasonings. if people give solid patch changes with solid explanations as to why they should be changed, then you know I think their opinions can be taken into consideration when looking at what to do in the next patch. But I'd like more explanation overall, both on the side of people who suggest patch notes and people who implement patch notes. So I'm hopeful that that becomes more of a thing. I'm hopeful that the legacy characters have been improved or nerfed in the right ways. But right now, I mean, I feel like Batman, at least from the beta, I'm not going to judge them from the beta, just from my experience of playing characters in the beta, Superman seems more one-dimensional than what he was in Injustice 1, and that's saying something considering how one-dimensional he was in Injustice 1. He seems even more forward 2-3 based than before, but I will see if that's changed by Injustice 2's release. Batman, I don't know, I feel like, I don't want to say he lost his identity as a character, but I feel like when I'm playing him, I'm just like doing Batman stuff. I can't like feel what kind of archetype Batman is supposed to be. Like it has offense and he has some zoning tools, but I wouldn't call him a zoner, I wouldn't call him something offensive, but to call him a jack of all trades, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to me. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see if they've done the legacy characters justice. I'm looking forward to playing Joker again. Well, I say again, you know, I played a lot of characters, but Joker's corner combos in Injustice 1 were so fun. I hope that has not been changed at all. I hope we still get to do those combos again, because they were so fun. But I hope they improve the neutral game. The running armoured crowbar looks like it might be an interesting tool for them. If they can cancel that, that could be a problem. So we'll see how they handle that. I'm hopeful that the meter burn roll mechanic and air teching aren't like it'll make the players have to think a lot more, because meter management is really important, especially in your second health bar, because then both have access to clash, and that decides whether you get health back or whether you take damage. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting mind games with meter. You're going to have to be aware of the opponent's meter as well as the opponent being aware of their own meter, and you have to be able to adapt to air teching, and you know, zoners will have to be aware of meter burn roll. So we'll see how that affects the game as well. But I'm looking forward to it. You know, I've got my eye on like 8 characters right now. There are 8 characters that I'm definitely taking into the lab in day 1 and I'm going to try out. They all kind of look similar in archetype that I quite like to play anyway. So hopefully they all do play the way I would like them to, and they don't get nerfed or given a stupid crazy buff like what happened with MKX and Cybernetic. But yeah, I'm hopeful for it. I want to see what happens, because Injustice 1's main problem is movement, and they seem to have fixed that for the most part. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to playing the community. I'm looking forward to the offline competitions. I'm also looking forward to CEO this year, which I'll be going to. So yeah, Injustice 2 is looking to be a lot of fun already. What about you, guys?
I'm just looking forward to just enjoying the game, just really getting my hands on it. You know, finding out what's new. I didn't, you know, kind of played Injustice 1 when it came about, but I didn't really bother with it because I'm not a big comic guy. I actually read my first ever comic today, and I genuinely mean first ever comic today.
Damn.
And I'm 31 years old. I've never read a comic in my life. The characters in Injustice 1 I didn't take to. I didn't feel any of them really stuck out to me. I'm not a big superhero person. I think villains are much more interesting. I didn't find any of them particularly interesting in Injustice 1. With that being said, the way NRS have presented a lot of the characters in some of these videos and trailers and breakdowns has got me really excited, and I shouldn't be excited for Injustice 2 at all. You know, Gorilla Grodd, which I went on about a million times over, I'm so looking forward to getting my hands on because they look so cool. Bane, again, you know, I recently watched the Batman film again, Dark Knight Rises, so I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on Bane and seeing what he can do. Been doing that with Injustice 1.
Also hyped for Bane, I understand.
Yeah, I'm just looking. The thing first and foremost for me is just have fun. and that's as a casual gamer or a competitive gamer. I don't get this thing where people say, I hate this game, it's retarded. See, if it's retarded, don't play it. It's as simple as that. You could not pay me to play a game I hate. If I hate a game, I don't play it. It's as simple as that.
Because it's not as simple as what you're making it out there. People that are passionate about a game, that's the difference. There's a difference between being passionate about a game and actually hating the game. People that have their criticisms about the game don't necessarily hate it.
Yeah, but you do see people say, I hate the game. It's like, well, don't play it. If you're passionate about the game, but you dislike some stuff, that's fair enough. I'm passionate about the game and I dislike some stuff. I completely get that. But I mean, let's be serious here. You do get people saying, "Oh, the game should have been buried long ago," and it's like, well, why are you talking about it? Just put the game away and sit it down. You don't have to comment on it or play it every 5 minutes. You're entitled to your opinion, but you know, it's like I played when BioShock 2 came out. I'm going off on a tangent. I hated the game. Do you know what? It went back in the box and I never looked at it again. It's as simple as that. And I love the series. Aye, but I'm just hoping that, you know, there's going to be a lot of hype with Injustice 2. We're going to have some good games in both scenes, both offline, both and on. You know, everyone can do their own thing, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to really kind of getting into an environment with the DC characters that I've never really been in before, and you know, getting, you know, attached to characters that I never thought I would ever be attached to, because I don't really like the subject. So yeah, I think that'll be fun. But
that's good, yeah.
Reagan?
Yeah, I'm just hyped. I haven't seen any gameplay outside of streams. I haven't watched any trailers apart from the Bane one, and I have no intention of watching any before the game comes out. Keeping it all fresh, so when the game comes out, I'm gonna be as excited as possible, basically. And that's it. Like, I'm just looking forward to playing now. I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Kappa.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
What was it? I've got like, I must have 30, 40 tabs open of Injustice 2 videos. Like, because I'm just interested to see the gear system. I want to see all the cool looking gear, so that I don't have to spend time like looking for it and seeing it, because it'll take away from lab time. And I want to spend a lot of time in the lab. Like, I might not come out of the lab for the first month of the game. I will just be in there learning everything that I can.
Yeah, aye. As you say, and this isn't exclusively an Injustice thing, it's just a fresh challenge of a new game, just seeing what's broken, what's not broken, what characters can do, what they can't do. And yeah, that stuff's exciting to me, and that's not an NRS thing exclusively. Just really getting your teeth into a new game, and I like that. Although a lot of people kind of do question the 2-year thing, I think it's quite good, because to me 2 years for MKX has felt right, and you know, the game has been hyped, and I'm really hyped for Injustice 2. So as a customer from that perspective, I can't argue. I've got something coming out within a couple of weeks that I'm so excited to actually get my hands on and really kind of take to task. And then, you know, for the next 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 years, I don't know when MK11 will be out, I'm sure I'll be feeling the same thing again.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Has anyone got anything to add on that?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think we've done quite a good summary of MKX there. Tried to cover like everything possible. It's really hard because we're basically covering 2 years of game.
Yeah.
In what? It's been about 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours now, nearly.
More or less exactly 4.
So
just about.
Yeah. I think we can wrap this up by saying we've enjoyed MKX, but this review and everything that comes with it is us transitioning into a new era now. And it's an era that I am really, really excited for.
Yeah, I think the gradual transition that NRS has went through and the community has went through with every game has been so noticeable, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what this new game can bring. I don't even know what can happen, and I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So,
But I think on that note, yeah, anyone that does manage to actually listen to this, thank you. But
yeah,
there will be a
It'll be on
character
YouTube.
breakdown happening at some
I'm pretty
point.
sure this is like 4 hours, man.
Yeah. No one's listening. But we'll put it in YouTube, and if anyone wants to, give us their opinion, by all means do so.
Yeah.
That again, this is the simple fact. This is all just pure opinion. There's no fact here.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, there's a lot of headcanon that goes on regarding anything when you talk about anything in life that's not literal or legit. So, bearing in mind, especially in the upcoming character analyses, breakdowns, it's going to be a lot of headcanon and a lot of opinions. So please bear that in mind. None of us claim to know everything about the game.
No.
None of us claim to be particularly good players. I'm pretty shit, and I'm probably the best person in this party. So,
Hype Spot says otherwise, Kappa.
You got the fucking easy gourmet bullshit bracket, fam. I got Foxied. I got Foxied.
All the excuses,
Whatever. Yeah, but the point still remains. We don't claim to be the best.
Yeah. No,
we just want to summarise for people. Maybe that joined the party late. Maybe that enjoy summarising things and use this as a way to transition and move forward. I thought it was a great idea when I put it forward to you guys in Discord. Still think it was a pretty good idea. We did a good job of it, and I think the game means different things to all of us. And to collate the ideas and our experiences, talking about top 3 moments, shit like that, it's always great. And talking about Injustice 2 to come just gets me more and more hype. So, yeah.
Right.
The analysis. Will we be doing individual characters, or will we do like a big one? Because that's going to take longer than 4 hours.
I was maybe going to suggest, and we could take this into the Discord, at least maybe doing 2. As in, maybe splitting the roster in half. And then, because doing a full character analysis, and the two of you might shoot me for this, is maybe just doing it as a tier list.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I've done enough MK tier lists. I actually made a tier list recently on Twitter.
I'm never making a tier list. Tier lists are pointless and useless, and everybody's going to disagree with your opinion. So I'm not making one. I have my opinions on how good and bad variations of characters are. People are going to disagree with that. Fine. I don't care.
So what I would suggest then is that when it comes to the characters, we do 2.
Yeah, we'll
we can
do
do
2
that.
separate parts, because I mean, even if you take into consideration the separate variations, there's like 130 variations or something in the game.
Yeah, that could take it.
There's 100 exactly.
There's 99 or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought you said there was 130 something.
I thought there was. Jesus.
No. Just
No,
100.
there's like 99
characters.
variations.
No, there's 100.
Oh, aye, Cyber Sub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
33 characters, 100 variations.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we'll do 50 in each episode, shall we say?
Yeah.
50 variations an episode.
Yeah, that would work.
Damn, that doesn't
Right.
do exactly 3 though. Ah.
Nah. I'm sure we can deal with
Damn.
it.
But I mean, what we
Alright.
could do is like
Yeah.
2 variations of Triborg.
Just split the cat. I see. I'm looking at the select screen now. If we do say Alien, that side of the screen, and then Coal, and then do Sub-Zero through to Triborg.
We can split
Yeah,
it,
sounds
yeah.
good.
That sounds good.
Alright, and when are we going to be doing that?
Haven't a
I don't
clue.
know.
I
We'll
could
do
do
In
it.
about 20
Yeah.
minutes.
What?
We're doing about 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
You having a laugh? I'm Batman. I need to eat.
Oh yeah, I need to go get my dinner right now as well. So, yeah,
Joking, plebs.
fine.
Tomorrow, maybe.
Thursday, isn't it?
Aye. I'm actually going on holiday really soon, by the way, so this is...
Well, lucky for you.
Well, damn right, huh? If
Rub it in a bit more,
I'll be in
good.
Birmingham at some point.
Will you?
Yes.
Someone stab you.
Yes. I'll be heading throughout the UK. I will be blessing Birmingham with my presence. And no doubt looking at the many strip clubs that are there. Of which there is a lot, bizarrely. There's hundreds of them.
There is a lot.
I'll be there for a night.
Oh, okay. What are you even going for?
Iron Maiden.
Oh shit! Yeah, you. You bastard!
What?
I hate you.
Well, get a ticket and we'll go.
I wish I could.
Ah.
Well, thanks for the heads up. I might have to pop down and say hi or something.
Well, yeah, I can't do tomorrow because I'm going out tomorrow night and Friday night. But the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be free.
I'm sure we'll arrange something.
We'll see what we can do. I mean, if we have to do the first half without you, then you're getting dropped. So.
Do you know what? Tuesday sounds good to me.
Tuesday sounds really good, actually.
Yeah. Alright, well, we can do it then.
I'm trying to think.
Alright, to anyone else still tuning in for some reason, thanks for watching.
Yep.
All three of you.
Thanks for listening. So,
But
again,
yeah, I
a
think we're
brief
done.
goodbye. Yeah, I'm your dad, Paul.
Oh, that's so much. I'm Euphemism.
Reagan.
And I am CXR.
Thank you, everyone, and fuck off.
Fuck off. You scummy pricks. Get
Thank
out.
you, guys.